cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on coke though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on coke though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Here in this phenomenal race, Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that pivotal lead, 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name. Well, good afternoon, or good evening. In fact, folks, welcome back to PSGL. The championship fight is now getting thicker, harder, heavier than ever. 10 points is all that separates the top 4 drivers. We've got Barry Burman still leading the way. Jarno Watmir is still yet to land a race victory, but finds himself second in the championship by mere consistency. The Flying Dutchman still showing that he is extremely potent around this track. Also, Brendan Lee up in the mix to third in the championship classification, with Lucas Blakely, of course a former PSGL champ in his own right, has also managed to levy his way closer to the top end as well. 3 out of the top 4 have won races this season. As I said, Jarno Watmir, the only man to not do that. Only one man has yet to win a PSGL championship, that of course being Brendan Lee. And only one driver is yet to win an F1 esports title in amongst that top 4, that of course being Barry Burman. A feisty title battle on the line with 4 races still to go. My name is George Morgan, your commentator here as we go racing in Saudi Arabia. Joining me as always is the one, the only, Jack Canan. Jack, welcome back. And I have to tell you, it's getting pretty frothy at the top.
It is, yes. So as we said, 10 points is all that separate our top 4 in the championship. The gap between our top 2 is just 1 single point. Barry Bormand still clinging on for dear life to that championship lead. He leads Jarno, who's on 62 points, Barry on 63, Brendan Lee in third on 56, and Lucas Blakely just behind on 53 has dragged himself into this fight as well. 4 rounds left on the calendar, so this is going to be an absolutely special fight to the flag. We're guaranteed a new winner this evening and a new pole sitter. Luke Smith is not with us. He took pole and the victory last time we were here at Jeddah with a fantastic drive. It's anyone's game. There was a lot of talk around last week around some of the controversy as well, and I mean, I think with a championship fight on our hands, I mean, there possibly could be more this evening.
I think there could be, Jack. I mean, we've obviously seen in other leagues as such that this circuit can claim victims. We've seen it time and time again. There was a huge pile-up at a recent league race where these drivers were taking part. Got very messy through, I think, the hairpin section actually coming out of turn 13. So keep your eyes peeled for that, folks. It can also get pretty troublesome around the final hairpin as well. Obviously, plenty of fast sections at this track. A couple of mid-speed corners, not necessarily anything slow speed. Probably the slowest corner on the track is probably turn 1 into turn 2. Of course, when you make your way down in towards that heavy braking zone, naturally that will claim many a driver. A good start is necessary to be successful here at Jeddah. The question is, who is going to have the best start of all? But first of all, we've got qualifying to get underway, Jack. And obviously at this moment in time, while Barry Burman does have the championship lead, any opportunity he can get, he must take, because he seems to have fallen off just a little bit lately.
Yeah, he's only scored points on one of the last 2 rounds. He hasn't finished on the podium at all. He hasn't taken a victory. It's been a rough patch for Barry Borman, so he needs to now, this is business end of the season now. His championship rivals have capitalised while he has had problems, and now he needs to kind of rebound. His teammate Nicolas Longue has been on top form in these past few rounds. Of course, he took pole position last week at Belgium, and he also took the victory in Japan. He's riding a high as Nicolas Longue, so it's a tough one when you're the championship leader but your teammate is doing better than you. This is a chance for Barry to start redeeming himself as well. Is it time now for Jarno to finally get that elusive victory? He's up there. Consistency has brought him to that second place in the championship, only a point behind Barry Borman. Could he finally tick off that victory? Of course, he's won in every single season of PSGL so far. And of course, he'd love to keep that record going as well. Brendan Lee, he's in this as well with that victory that he took back in Qatar, and he's been just consistently scoring the podiums. Lucas Blakely as well brought it back after his victory in Imola. He's been up there as well. So it's the pedigree in that top 4 is outrageous. There, as I said on Twitter, there is 5 F1 esports titles and 5 PSGL titles between the lot of them.
There are, and it's quite thrilling, to be honest, to see that. And it really is a battle of the titans. You're not going to see a tighter championship than this one, I can tell you that now. If we have a look at the points, as we've so rightly gone through the top 4, Burman 63, Otmir 62. He's only 1 point away from Barry Burman's total, and that's without winning a single race this season. If he does so, there could be an almighty swerve in the championship contest. Brendan Lee, 56, not far away. Of course, winner of the race at Qatar earlier this season too. And Lucas Blakely, who has taken 2 wins this season, most recently at Imola, and he did it in great style as well, Jack, with that dynamic double overtake heading in towards Tamburello, which really did, I think, wow spectators and fans alike here, certainly here at PSGL. Looking forward to seeing whether he can pull off the same extraordinary stuff that we have seen in the past. But Jeddah is very punishing. Now, we've got a few returning names as well. Obviously, Dylan Warren, a name that many of the fans, I think, have scrutinised over recent periods. Also, we got the likes of Alfie Butcher back again after a stellar showing last time out as well. I mean, he has been certainly a dynamic figure. Also, very controversial in many ways when it comes to league racing. But I think he semi-redeemed himself in a way with that performance at Belgium, I think, Jack.
I think what Alfie showed is that when he keeps it clean, he can get the results and keeps his head. And that's exactly what he did last week. He did a fantastic drive to his first ever PCF1 victory. So he'll try and carry that momentum forward. As we said as well, Dylan Warren is also our lobby host for this evening. He's filling in for Fabrizio Donoso. And as well, Dylan is actually carrying a qualifying ban from a previous incident. So he will be, of course, having to serve that. However, I have heard that he will be permitted to come out and do 2 outlaps because he has jumped in so last minute. He will be permitted to come out on the circuit and do 2 outlaps. However, he will not be permitted to take any further part in qualifying, so he will not be permitted to do a timed lap in qualifying. So we got that as well. Also carried forward from last week, all of the controversy. We all know the instance between Thomas Ronnar and Jarno Wotmir last week. Thomas Ronnar is carrying a grand total of 8 seconds worth of penalty, so 8 seconds will be added to his race time at the end of today, so we've got to keep all that in mind as well. We are having a slight delay at the moment. We're just waiting for Freddie Rasmussen to get into the lobby at the moment, so we're waiting to see for that. We have everybody waiting in the lobby at the moment, but penalties carried forward. Ronnar has plus 8 seconds. Dylan Warren with a qualifying ban. However, he will be allowed to come out on the circuit to make sure that everything is functioning correctly on his rig because he's jumped in so last minute.
Yeah, and just to take a look at the standings as a whole, folks, there you can see it right in front of you as well. Barry Burman, as I said, 63 points. Jarno Wotmir, 62. And then, of course, Brendan Lee on 56. Lucas Blakely, 53. A bit of a gap then to Nicholas Longay on 44. And then Alfie Butcher, who returns again tonight. Haas currently sat 6th and 7th. A very consistent run, certainly for Haas so far. They've certainly delivered in many ways. Let's hope that the synergy between both Butcher and Berejnay is in fine fettle. Obviously, it was tested a little bit at Japan, where they came together, but nevertheless, Butcher redeeming himself, as we alluded to, at Spa last time out. Thomas Ronha, of course, in 9th place, 33 points just ahead of Marcel Kiefer. The points gap between that Alfa Romeo and the Mercedes very tight as well. A mere 4 points is all that separates them. But interesting to take a look at the constructors' standings as well, Jack. Ferrari on 107, and then you have Mercedes on 91, Alfa Romeo on 89, whilst Alfa Romeo are only in the championship fight, should we say, in the drivers' terms with Brendan Lee. They've got a great chance to take a constructors' prize, and so do Haas. By mere consistency, Haas still have a chance. Should they levy in a very successful last 4 races, they could cause a huge upset by the end of the championship.
They could, and I mean that was helped by Alfie Butcher's victory last week, and I suppose it could have been a lot more though, because Danny Berejnay, so unlucky, had a disconnect from the session towards the end while he was possibly on course for a victory. So Berejnay will be looking to finally switch that look around. We can say we have our fill-in Red Bull. Red Rasmussen has not been able to join the lobby, so Istvan Pukki is a very, very, very last-minute stand-in here at Jeddah, and because it's Istvan Pukki, George, he is a dark horse for Jeddah. He went incredibly well here last season, and we'll see if he can carry that forward. Of course, we had Luke Smith take the victory last year. I think, again, pole and victory was a stellar display, and we'll see if he can carry that forward. But Istvan Pukki certainly a dark horse for Jeddah.
Yeah, and hasn't done too badly in the Middle East. Came 7th back at Qatar not too long ago as well. The same date that, of course, Brendan Lee would go on to take victory on that occasion. And no one has yet breached 2 race wins this season as well. So form against Barry Burman, it's also up against that of Lucas Blakely as well. So really, it's on the cards for potentially Jarno Wotmir to take his first win tonight. We'll have to wait and see whether that is possible. Plenty of others to look at too. In terms of podiums themselves, you've got Thomas Ronnar has been flittering in and out. Took a victory back at Austria, Red Bull Ring, of course. That was a very controversial fight that we saw back there too. Alfie Butcher, of course, a race winner to boot. Nicholas Longay, he, of course, in great form right now. Is very much the talking point of many as an outsider for this season's F1 Esports Championship. Has certainly improved over recent weeks, and no doubt still flooding in lots of confidence after the back of that Japanese Grand Prix win. And last time out at Belgium was very unfortunate not to take the victory there as well, coming second on that occasion after a dive bomb from Ulasser Gilderim that effectively cost him the race on the final lap, Jack.
It was indeed. So we'll be looking to try and switch that around. Drivers are on the lobby. We're waiting to start. So we're running out of filler, guys, and it's incredibly warm in the UK and Ireland at the moment. It's about 28 degrees, 30 degrees.
Lovely.
I'm sweating
Tropical
already in the room. It's September. We're not used to this. For those of you, of course, who are down in other countries, I'm sure this is used to. But we're not built for this, guys. This is not, especially me.
I don't know.
I'm the fair-skinned ginger kid here, and I'm just not able for this, right? So I'm not putting on a blazer, as someone in chat has suggested.
Commit, my
a long sleeve jacket, in 30 degrees heat. You're having a laugh. Almost ready to go. Not sure what the delay is at this point. Oh no, Rasmussen's made it. He's made it. Last minute.
For those of you
Istvan
wondering,
Pukki is gone. He's been kicked, and we will see if he can finally get himself set. But Istvan Pukki,
I think
the shortest-lived lobby.
I think we're going to have to lay it on the line right now for everybody. The reason why it's taken a while, folks, we've been waiting for Freddie Rasmussen to join the lobby, so that's the reason why we haven't shown qualifying yet. Qualifying hasn't even started, so you're not missing anything. You get to enjoy me and Jack Canan for just that little bit longer. Otherwise, you've got nothing at all, which is, you know, I'm not sure how productive that is anyway. But yes, the timer is ticking down. We're getting ready for the start of qualifying now. So we're going to be swinging across to Jeddah very shortly. Obviously, big title fight on hand. Plenty to look out for. Jack, in terms of driver strengths and weaknesses, looking at Jeddah, who do you think this track favours more? We've spoken about Pukki, but what about anyone else, especially in the title equation, I think we need to look at?
Absolutely. I feel Nicolas Longe is carrying good form, and I think that this will be certainly one for him. I was going to say Istvan Pukki, but he's gone now, so that's my prediction gone straight away. But definitely Longe. He's been very, very good in these past few rounds. Very strong around street circuits like Jeddah as well. So could be one to watch there. Luke Smith is obviously, he could have been the easy statistical pick, but he's not here this evening, so I can't go with that one. It's anyone's game really in the top, in that top sort of 10 really. But again, Lucas Blakely possibly one as well. I mean, at this point, it's a lucky dip. Pick one and they might get pole.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right indeed. It is a lucky dip, but we like lucky dips because that means anything can happen, and I'm a big fan of that. Let us know if you think it's a lucky dip or if you think that you have a chance at perhaps predicting our, should we say, our pole sitter. Obviously, we've got quite a few sessions to go through. Let us know who you think might get eliminated from Q1. Here's a reminder of who's racing tonight. Simon Weigang stepping in at Aston Martin. We've got Josh Edo at Red Bull, Freddie Rasmussen at Red Bull, Patrick Schipos in Alpine, Jana Wotmir in Mercedes, Barry Burman in Ferrari, as well as Danny Berejne at Haas, Wilson Hughes at McLaren, Tom Manley at AlphaTauri, as well as Jake Benham joining him as well, the All-Star also at AlphaTauri. Thomas Ronha at his usual space at Alfa Romeo. We got Nicolas Longe at Ferrari, Alfie Butcher at Haas. We got Marcel Kiefer Mercedes, Ismail Fassi in Williams. We got Dylan Warren returning at Aston Martin, Brendan Lee at Alfa Romeo, Lucas Blakely at McLaren, Alvaro Carreton Williams, and Ruben Pedreño at Alpine. So there you have it, folks. That is the current scenario in terms of those out on track right now. Ruben Pedreño makes his way out onto the circuit. He's by no means, though, the first man. It's this man again. It's Dylan Warren serving a penalty this time around. Of course, remember, folks, he is serving a qualifying ban, but gets two laps to get prepared because he was called up last minute. So huge pressure on Dylan Warren tonight. Though I suppose, nonetheless, you know, it's not necessarily pressure because, you know, I guess the only way is up at this point, Jack.
It is, yeah. So he will be starting from the back, so he will not be setting a timed lap. However, he has been permitted by the stewards to come out and do 2 out laps to sort of, this will be his only practice that he gets because he's jumped in so last minute. So good stuff from Dylan Warren, and he's taken on the mantle of hosting the lobby for us tonight as well. So good job, Dylan. Ismail Fassi out on the circuit as well, possibly one to watch as well around Jeddah in a way. He went well here before, so we'll see if Ismail Fassi can carry that forward. Pedreño as well could also be perhaps a dark horse. I mean, technically everyone's going to be dark horses. I'm lying to myself here because the field is so strong. I think even getting through to Q2 might even be again an achievement in this one. Jarno Wotmir out on the circuit as well. He's come out for an out lap as well, as has Freddie Rasmussen, who of course had issues getting into the lobby, was officially out of the race, and now he's back into it. So maybe that means something for the race later on for Freddie Rasmussen. So we'll see how he gets on around the streets of Jeddah. But of course, everyone is out on the intermediate tyres, apart from Dylan Warren, who's using a set of hard tyres. But intermediate tyres, of course, a staple in Q1 of any league race on F1 Esports. They, again, prefer not to waste a set of dry tyres. They come out, make sure everything's functioning setup-wise on the rig, etc. And they use up a set of the intermediate tyres because we don't expect rain to be here. However, it has happened before. Season 29, it rained here, and it was chaos.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on, Jack. It certainly was chaos, and naturally with it being a circuit such as this, fast pace, you certainly don't necessarily want the wet weather to impact you. We've got here Ruben Pedreño on intermediate tyres. and looking to just set in those initial laps just to make sure everything's working okay. And after, of course, that first section where you have got that heavy braking zone, he's currently making his way through the slalom, and you've got lots of this heading right through the first sector, and the second sector is no different either. Makes his way through the very fast pace, and this one can catch you off guard. Handles it well, however, even on the intermediate rubber. Goes faster than Dylan Warren, incidentally, who is on the slick tyre, who did a 29.6 in that second sector. This time, Pedreño setting a 29.349, so going nearly 0.3 of a second faster in that second sector. Sorry, makes his way down towards the line and goes to the top of the tree. A 1:30.985. That's the current time to beat. Of course, not necessarily anything representative at this stage. Ismail Fassi is now going to make his way around on intermediates too. You will find this as a consistent theme right through the grid order, especially through the initial stages of qualifying. The drivers just making them, well, certainly making themselves sure of everything out on circuit. It certainly is a challenge, making sure the car setup is correct. And at the same time as well, just try and get yourself comfortable with the track and get some delta on the board. A 1:31.027 for Ismail Fassi. That's enough for second fastest. Already Dylan Warren taking the purple first sector, as you would expect. Jarno Watmere not wasting any time on intermediates either, getting himself out and about. No one else, incidentally, putting on the intermediate boots, but Watmere goes straight to the top and leads the intermediate tyre championship. A 1:30.458, Jack Canal.
Yeah, not bad going. About half a second quicker than Pedreño, even on Inters. I think that's pretty good going. So the Inters Tyre Championship goes to Jarno Watmere. So I wonder, should we keep track of that championship? I wonder from now on. Should we make it a mini championship for the last 4 rounds? See who would win the intermediate tyre pole position award or something. Can we make that a thing? Even if it's next season, we might have to do that to get some competition going on the intermediate tyres.
We'll have to get it through
Yeah,
Connor,
we might have to do that. We might have to do that. If he is watching, think about it. We might have a special award for the most amount of pole positions, quote unquote, on intermediate tyres in the dry. So, anyways, that's the intermediate tyre championship over, and we'll get going again with dry tyre runs in, I would reckon, in about 2 minutes' time. When the timer hits 10 minutes, that's when you get business on track, of course, towards the end of this one. So keeping in mind, Dylan Warren, of course, he's now retired from the session. He's serving his qualifying ban. He's done his permitted outlaps, and he's now going to be starting from the back of the grid. So that gives a chance for somebody else to maybe sneak into qualifying too, and when we get to that stage. So let's keep an eye as we wait for drivers to make their way back in, and also for drivers to come back out onto the circuit and give us something to look at now. But of course, Jarno making his way back to the pits right now. He did win here in season 29 when it was in wet conditions, and again, like we mentioned, has not won a race this season, but has been consistently scoring podiums and points, and is now second in the championship behind Barry Boremand. A lot of people saying that he could possibly Keke Rosberg himself to the title here, but he'll want to keep that record of winning in every single season going. Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously every driver wants to win. I think if you're not winning, then naturally it's not. There's an argument there to state there hasn't been a very successful season, but what I would argue as well is the point that Jarno has been exceptionally consistent, and I think that's the difference maker. If you've got a driver that is able to bring the big results when they're needed most, I think that obviously makes that vital impression that you need, and naturally being a solitary point behind Barry Boremand is such a statement, especially given the fact that you're not winning races. So give Otmere credit. Of course, he's taken 4 P2s this season so far, which is a superb record. And everyone now, as you can see from the graphic on the left-hand side, starting to move on to the soft compounded tyres, even those that started on the Inters. Ismail Fassi has just literally jumped onto them right now. Of course, this Jeddah circuit will offer so much, could arguably be the difference maker in the championship fight. If Jarno wins today, he can take the championship lead. Same can be said as well for potentially Brendan Lee and Lucas Blakely, depending on what happens to Barry Boremand. So a lot of pressure here on the board. Patrick Schipos, though, out on track. Again, an Alpine out on circuit, this time not being Pedreño. It is going to be his teammate, Patrick Schipos. And he's on the soft tyres, and he's going to commit to our first, should we say, slick tyre run this time around here at the circuit of Jeddah. Of course, opened back on the 3rd of December 2021, one of the newest tracks on the Formula One calendar. And it's here for you guys as well at PSGL. We can't wait to bring you this action. Sit tight, enjoy. Let's ride here with Patrick Schipos. Let's get this underway, Jack. I'm ready for this now. Yeah, we are. We're certainly ready for this. Again, crucial qualifying in the terms of the championship. You cannot afford to get yourself knocked out in Q1 or Q2. We saw Barry Borman getting knocked out in Q2 last week, and that was an uphill battle for him afterwards. And we've seen multiple times shocks happen throughout the season as well. So anyone who makes it through to Q2, that's even an achievement by itself. So Patrick Sipos then on his way down towards, he's in the middle sector at the moment and making his way through now. You can see getting very busy out on the track. You can see the track map on the bottom right of your screen. All those coloured dots are all individual cars, and you can see it's going to get very, very busy out here. When we talk about consistency, though, and returning to form, of course, we talked about Nicolas Longue at Ferrari, but we have to mention a certain Marcel Kiefer on form, has a pole position, 2 podiums. I mean, he's on a great run of form at the moment.
He is. He has literally been the driving force of recent times and actually suffered a lot, Jack. I allude back to what happened at Japan, where he was caught up with all the carnage coming up through the slalom section through Sector 1. And, you know, I alluded to it live on broadcast at the fact that it was literally devastating to see drivers really utilising racecraft such as this. It's really disappointing to see, but I'm glad to say I think that we are seeing improvements in places, and definitely Marcel Kiefer's form stands by that. He certainly has elevated himself higher and higher and is challenging for the major points, and he is starting to score points every round, Jack, and that's what you need to do to win titles. And certainly now, if he can position himself at a competitive level, certainly here at PSGL, you've got to factor him in for Mercedes team's championship hopes for the coming season, because Red Bull have benefited off the back of him many a time when it comes to that team's title.
Absolutely, yeah, and this is exactly the kind of form we want to carry forward into F1 Esports, which isn't too far around the corner, so they've got to keep that in mind as well. As Patrick Sipos, he's on the first run of the day on the dry tyres, the first proper runs as he heads through this long, sweeping left-hander. This is it's an incredible qualifying circuit, is Jeddah, to watch the long straights and the winding S sections in the middle sector. It is great to watch if you hook it up correctly, but we have seen big accidents here in the league races as well, so you have to keep that in mind. The final corner is going to lend itself, I think, to some possibly some dive bombs that may not function, but you can see Patrick Sipos making his way through the traffic very nicely. Everyone very aware of where he is, and we need to see now if Alpine can possibly get themselves another victory here. They got one last year, and they may want to do the same again with either Patrick Sipos or Ruben Pedreño if they can hook it up again. Heading up towards the final corner now, traffic in his way, but he does manage to negotiate it very nicely. He hugs the apex nicely onto the power. Patrick Sipos will get the first time on the board for us, and we did have plenty of times where we've had runs to the line here at Jeddah. It lends itself to that. 25-7 to get us underway with the dry tyre runs. Yeah,
and certainly he's not the only one nestling in quick laps either. Wilson Hughes right now, I'm currently seeing on my screen purple in the second sector. Otmir out on an out lap too, but Wilson Hughes definitely looking impressive. Has stolen that purple sector away from Sipos. Let's see if the third sector can be just as brilliant. I can tell you that his teammate Lucas Blakely has taken a 31.328 and has gone purple of anybody in sector 1 as well. So McLaren in a very rich vein of form right now as Wilson Hughes comes across the line, second fastest. And certainly, well, I'd imagine Lucas Blakely be looking to join him as well, though he has lost that purple first sector. And guess who's taking it? It's the one, the only, the carving knife himself. Alfie Butcher is now starting to enter into the equation too. So now, as the track starts to heat up, we're now at 28 degrees, which is generally the optimal level for a circuit. Between 28 and 30 is where we see it. Blakely goes to the top with a magical 125.752. Not bad in the initial, but Alfie Butcher, all eyes on the prize for this young man too, as he now makes his way through the final sector. Remember, this is the man who has taken a 31.227 in Sector 1 to go purple. His second sector is not too bad either, a 27.695, which is actually faster than Blakely's. It's not purple, but it's faster than Lucas Blakely. Here comes now Alfie Butcher. A chance to go to the top early on. Here he comes, second fastest. Third sector was disappointing, Jack.
Only just, though. Here comes Brendan Lee to get himself on the board. He goes 10th fastest for the moment. And then we have a couple more still to come. Then Ronar goes 5th fastest. Jake Benham is going to be next across the line in the Alpha Tauri. Crosses the line now. Does a 25.8 and goes just behind Wilson Hughes. As we wait now, as we had Jarno just improved to a 25.9. And Simon Weigang, he's the last car to cross the line. He goes 13th fastest on a 25.9. That is so close. up towards the front now. But in the drop zone currently, Pedreño, Beresne, Caraton and Tom Manley, who are in the drop zone at the moment. 25.75 is the fastest time in Q1 so far, and multiple drivers separated by under a tenth of a second, as you can see there. But Lucas Blakely, Alfie Butcher top it at the moment. But I think danger zone at the moment for Brendan Lee, for Barry Bormand even. Championship contenders are not in the best of situations, but Lucas Blakely's certainly looking good.
They didn't necessarily qualify brilliantly last week either, did they, Jack? I mean, you've got to factor in that Brendan Lee, remember, if we go back to, I think it was last week, where he was in, should we say, when we were in Q2, he was in the elimination spot, right on the bubble of getting through. But at that point, on the bubble of getting eliminated at the same time, there were 3 drivers in the mix, Otmir, Burremand, as well as that of Lucas Blakely. All of them were factored in to going through to Q3. But there was a big turnaround, wasn't there? It would be Brendan Lee going through to Q3. All those 3 drivers got knocked out of Q2. It was mind-blowing. I think, in fact, Otmir went out very early, I think, into the qualifying fray. So at this point, it's certainly going to be a test of strength, a test of stamina, and it just goes to show that every minute, every second counts in qualifying. It can make the difference, getting that last lap in, getting that delta up to give yourself a chance at, shall we say, having a spot in Q3. And that, I think, could yet define this title this season.
It could. I mean, when we talk about the gaps as well, there's a tenth from Jarno down to Brendan Lee. So that, I get a tenth of a second improvement rockets you up a bunch of places. Could see you safer, could see you out. So keep that in mind. Lucas Blakely, Alfie Butcher, Patrick Sipos, they might feel that they're safe on that on the 25.7 initially in Q1, so don't be surprised to not see them out again. Short turnaround here as well. There's only 3 minutes left on the clock here in Jeddah, so for those who want to come out, they're going to have to do it very quickly as we get them cycled here. Nicholas Longe, he's coming back down the pit lane as well in the Ferrari. It'll be pretty tight for a lot of these guys to get in, get back out again. Borremand as well coming back out. Rasmussen, Blakely retires, as does Wilson Hughes in the second McLaren. Some confidence there from McLaren.
Very confident, and if you remember, Wilson Hughes took that initial purple sector as well. Sector 2 he was fastest in for the brief time in the start of Q1. Or should we say the start of when we first saw the slick tyres being a factor. Ismail Fassi retiring as well. Nicholas Longate comes out, of course not content with his run either. Currently sat 8th fastest. Jake Benham hasn't retired, and neither is Patrick Shipos, though they are running out of time. We're going to see a flood of cars now making their way around this circuit. And just have a look at this, Jack. The new Ferrari livery that has graced us with its presence now. The new update, of course, coming out from EA Sports F1, and Nicholas Longe embracing that, and they'll be looking to take it to the top as well. What was, I suppose, a session of heartbreak back at Monza in real life. They can look ahead to perhaps better things this time, and certainly Longe in his current vein of form, while Barry Burman might be struggling, he can bounce back for the Scuderia.
You can. Maybe the special livery might do something for them today.
Knows?
But you see, top 7 will not be setting any more laps. So 25.859, Ismail Fassi is the last car there. Sipos and Benham have stayed in the pit lanes. They're not going to be able to come out and set another lap unless they decide to come out very, very quickly. But it's going to be one hell of a fight just to get through to Q. This is only to get through to Q2. This is only deciding the bottom 5 positions on the grid. And this is what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. So this is going to be hell of a finish to Q1. Nicholas Longe will be the first man to get us underway for this as he heads towards the final corner now. So Longe, who took pole position at Spa last week with a stunning lap that was a 10th clear of everybody else, wasn't quite able to get the victory done though in the end. Had an instant with Ulas Yildirim towards the end. It was Alfie Butcher who got him in the end. But Nicholas Longe, the man on form, victory in Japan, a pole position last week, and he wants to go back-to-back here, but he's going to get the last runs of Q1 underway. This is just to get through to Q2.
It is, and you know, these drivers, looking back at trends as well, Jack, Q2 we've got a lot to look forward to because the deltas we tend to find in that session is going to be blistering. But first of all, we've got to get through Q1. Nicholas Longe, who we're now going to ride on board with the Frenchman in the Ferrari, of course, emblazoned in red as he makes his way through the first sector. And as you can see, making his way through the slalom as well. So tricky when you make your way through turns 4, 5, 6 and 7. Turn 8 coming up next after this one. He'll then tee up a run heading down towards the first hairpin. This can be very treacherous. He'll make his way through. As you can just see, they're keeping it tight to the inside and then put straight back to the floor as well. As you can see, going up the gear ratios as he now heads down through turn 13, 14, 15. Now through this very fast section at 15 and 16. And then he's got to get another slalom to take as well. Now, you've got a bit of a blind corner coming up after this little brief section. As you can see very shortly, he'll make his way in towards Sector 3 proper after Sector 2. This is it now. Briefly, just clips the brakes, gives himself the angle, the rotation that he's looking for. Purple in that second sector for Nicolas Longuet as well. So this is a very good lap. Could yet trump his former compatriot, of course. He would have met Lucas Blakely up at the sharp end time and time again. But now's his chance to once again breach him in qualifying, only in Q1 on this occasion. It won't worry Blakely for pole, but at the same time, Q2 on the line. Here comes Longuet, and he makes his way to the top as well. A 1:25.710 to kick us off, Jack.
Yeah, that was a great lap from Nicolas Longuet. Great to watch as well as they crossed over. Bereznet is only just in for the moment in 14th place. Not definitely safe. Caraton wants to get himself out of the drop zone. Is it enough for Caraton? No, he misses out in 16th place for him there as we wait to see more. Boerman improves to P7, so he should be safe. Rasmussen, though, goes fastest in Q1 here in the Red Bull as we wait to see more laps here crossing the start-finish line. Tom Manley moves up to P3 on that previous lap. Ido wants to get himself safe. He is safe in P7. All trouble now for some of the cars behind as they cross the start-finish line. It'll be Marcel Kiefer in trouble. Kiefer is even more trouble. He's out of Q1. Here comes Opmeer. Is he safe? He certainly is. Goes third fastest. So it's up to Weigang now. Does Weigang make it through? I think he just about did with that final lap. He does make it through. Simon Weigang gets himself through, but disaster. Marcel Kiefer is the shock. He's out in the first part of qualifying here at Jeddah, but it's Rasmussen topping the session. Look how close this is once again. It's 2/10 down, as you can see, but look at that. Huge names going out in Q1, namely Kiefer, Bereznet and Caraton in Q1. But as you can see, Brendan Lee breathes a sigh of relief in 15th.
He does, and that could have ended so badly for him as well, Jack. P15, of course, at this session, right on the bubble of elimination, but manages to stay in the game. Danny Berejnet, a huge shock there as well. Caraton, also a major shock. Ruben Pedreño, of course, might have struggled a little bit. Kiefer, though, Jack, against the grain of his recent form, and he's out of qualifying. That is not a good place for Mercedes to be in tonight.
Absolutely not. When you get to this sort of stage, you know that guys like Ferrari, the guys at Alpha, they will work together and they need to get themselves through into that part of qualifying. So Kiefer will be disappointed in himself not getting through. We've seen the teamwork at Ferrari before. We've seen the teamwork at Alfa Romeo as well on previous occasions. See, Jarno will not have the support of his teammate as we head through into the race. But let's see if it could work out differently for Marcel Kiefer down in 18th place. We've seen wins from 18th on 2 occasions this year. So we'll see if they can carry forward. But great stuff from both of the Ferraris, both of the Alfa Romeos, and I think probably surprisingly, I wasn't expecting him to get through to Q2. Maybe that's a little bit bad on my part, but Simon Weigang, great effort to get through to Q2.
Yeah, very much so. We're currently rolling on board here with Jarno Opmeer, who now makes his way through the first sector. I think Opmeer would be delighted, I think, with that first lap, Jack. I think getting himself underway, Q1 going well, moving his way up towards the sharp end. He's in the mix. Very rarely do we see Jarno Opmeer on fire in qualifying. He tends to do his talking in the race, because I suppose that's where it counts. That's where the points are won.
It is, and that's you can have guys who will compromise qualifying for a more race-orientated setup. So we'll see some of that coming through in this part, possibly in this part of qualifying. And you know, do you fight for track position, or do you want to fight through the traffic with a better setup? It's always the balance that you want to strike, when we're talking about gaps this small as well. So we'll see how it works, but some guys do tend to go for a race-orientated setup, Jarno being one of them, and we'll see heading into the race whether that will pay off for him. And again, you do want to be as far up the order as you want to be as well, so it's a fine balance what you want here. But the crucial thing is, but all of our championship contenders made it through to Q2. Jarno Opmeer, Barry Boerman, and Brendan Lee and Lucas Blakely all make it through, but Blakely looks like the man to beat at the moment.
He does. He's in very, very good form. Just a quick reminder as well, folks at home. Of course, welcome, first of all, to PSGL. If you've just joined us as well, you've missed a blistering Q1. We're about to get Q2 well and truly underway. And also, we're celebrating here at PSGL. We're 300 subscribers away from 40K. So make sure you hit that big red button. You never know, we might hit 40K tonight. What a monumental achievement that'll be for PSGL. And it'll be all down to you, good folks at home, as always. We really appreciate you guys. Let's get stuck in now, of course, to Q2. And looking forward to this one now, as we're seeing Jake Benham get us underway. He's certainly the car that's furthest up the circuit right now, as we now see him make his way through the initial sector. A huge slide there from Jake Benham, and he invalidates as a result, Jack.
Oh, that was a scary moment for Jake Benham. Well held, but I think he's going to need a change of overalls after that sector. Incredibly fast. You don't want to lose the rear end through there, so he's going to have to go again through there. That's exactly what happened to Mick Schumacher through that sector in real F1 back a couple of years ago. But Jake Benham will need to come straight back into the pit lane, and again, not ideal for what he wants there. He wanted to just get a lap under his belt. He's going to come straight back in and get a new set of tyres on. You can expect some of these runs to be on used sets of the soft tyre. Some may decide to go new, some may decide to go old, but the majority will probably use a used set of tyres. So in that case, with Jake Benham not setting that representative time, it'll be one of the McLarens. It'll be Wilson Hughes, actually, who'll set the first benchmark time here. He made it through the Q2 with his teammate Lucas Blakely. They retired early, so McLaren's working well, but Wilson Hughes not going to finish that lap, and they'll all now come into the pit lane. So not worth it, I think, to finish the laps here in Jeddah. You can see them all peeling down into the pit lane here, so probably one of the unique sectors of this track, in that some of them not opting, or all of them not opting to go for that, finish that timed run on the used sets of tyres. So obviously feeling like it's more worth it to go out on a set of used tyres because the gap is that small. Is it worth it even finishing the lap and wasting time on the used set? Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we saw quite a change up in the first sector. Wilson Hughes took the initial purple, of course, after Jake Benham invalidated his run. Jarno Watmere then stole the 31.350 in Sector 1 as well. And then Longue came in and took the first purple Sector 2. So we had quite a change-up as time went on through qualifying. So you're absolutely right, Jack. I think the gaps were pretty minimal. And why bother utilising the tyres if you're just going to burn them out for yet no benefit? You're better off conserving them. You might need them in the race, especially if we get safety cars. So now the drivers, no doubt, will put on a fresh set of softs and maybe dissipate some of the time as well before we get started again. 10 minutes to go. Oh, Longue has already decided to come straight back out. Naturally, I would imagine, Jack, this will give them, should we say, 2 laps of decent runs on fresher tyres? I think that's what they're aiming for, is that two runs. They're going to need 2 runs. I don't think anyone's confident, especially in Q2, to go out for one run and that'll be it. Unless they hook it up the first time, they want to have that banker in on the new set. So we'll see now. This is going to be very tight to get through into Q3 here at Jeddah, but a very crucial qualifying here. Only 4 rounds left in the championship. 10 points between the top 4, a single point separating the top 2. So if anybody, again, if we call it important for anybody, I think the most important person in regard to this championship fight who needs to get through to Q3 is Barry. He's hold on to the championship lead for so long. He still has it, but he's got to get through to Q3 here. You'd argue that it's starting to slip as well, Jack, based on recent form alone. Not just due to Barry's class. It's nothing to do with necessarily his class, just the way the races have certainly carried out. But doesn't that carry with the trend that we have seen from Barry in the past? Has a great start to a season, but then struggles towards the tail end. I know we saw a little bit of a change of that last season, but is he getting back into old habits? It's been the story of Barry Borman's PSGL career, the sort of high point at the start, and then the dip in the middle, which ultimately costs him the title. So again, it's a tricky one for Barry, but he's got to bounce back. This is a good sort of to practice even for F1 esports. You're going to have bad races in a way, so he's got to learn how to bounce back from it. And ideally, he needs a victory here today, or just outscoring all of his championship rivals as we head to the last 4 rounds. Well, 4 rounds including this one, 3 after this. So this will be interesting, but huge pressure, I think, for Barry Borman, considering as well they're leading the Constructors' Championship Ferrari. Nicolas Longue is on great form and he'll be wanting to be up there with his teammate, and he knows he can do it. But speaking of Longue, he's going to get us underway for these runs in Q2. The banker runs, but incredibly important banker runs, I think, because if you invalidate, you're in a lot of trouble later on.
Yeah, you certainly are. Turn 1 now beckons for Nicholas Longue through turn 2 out of the heavy braking zone. As smooth as you like. The new rubber on the soft tyres certainly working for him right now. Turns 4 and 5 come up next. Back on the power again in 5th gear, and then up the ratios again. 6 coming through 7 and 8 as well. Very shortly he'll make his way through this very dogged left and right as well. Coming out of this very, should we say, stagnant section. You can hear him holding the throttle briefly. Now in towards turns 11, 12 and 13, which will then coast him down through towards the latter stages of this circuit. 2 major hairpins at either side of this circuit. One of them right at the start of Sector 2, and then that'll carry him through towards Sector 3 through a blind slalom that he's just taken as well. Full throttle now, 7th gear, and then he'll power his way in 8th gear, leading towards this blind segment. Now this can catch quite a few drivers out. You'll briefly just tap the brake as you make your way through this point as well. Just liaise off the throttle a little bit, but a purple sector there from Nicholas Longue certainly goes to show that he is certainly in grand spirits. 27.6 in Sector 2, 31.2 in Sector 1. Currently holding on to the fastest time on circuit, certainly given the deltas that we have seen. No time currently emblazoned on the board. Longue looking to automatically from the get-go. First official time on the screen. Is it going to be enough to hold on to P1 come the end of this, shall we say, run in Q2? And certainly a 1:25.548, the current time to beat Jack Canan.
It is, and that's immediately 2/10 quicker than they went in Q1. You can see Sipos is a 25.6, Wilson Hughes a 25.7 on that first run, Fossey 25.9 as the times come thick and fast. Now Brendan Lee, crucial qualifying, and he comes across the line and goes 4th fastest, 25.8 for him as they cross the line. Alfie Butcher then 2nd fastest, the man on form, 25.6 on his first run. Rasmussen a 25.7 on his initial run. Barry Borman now crossed the line right behind his teammate. This is what we need to see from Barry Borman across the line, but Blakely beats them all by just a couple of thousandths across the start-finish line. Ronar goes 8th fastest in front of the Alfa Romeos, and we still have lots more drivers still coming. It's a little bit tangled for space in the final corner there as they get through. Sipos popping into Jake Benham, popping into P6 there. Jarno Watmere up to the line now. He needs to get himself through to Q3. Is it enough? It is for the moment at 25.656. So that is the first runs over and out, and it is currently not good news for Alfa Romeo. Ronar and Brendan Lee are currently in the drop zone in 12th and 13th place, but as you can see, superb from the top 3 there. Blakely, Longue and Borman, just a couple of hundreds between them, and Simon Weigang right in the mix as well.
Yeah, a truly weaponised lap from Lucas Blakely. Purple in Sector 2 and 3, a 1:25.542 to beat, but he didn't have the purple first sector. That went to Jarno Watmere. Now, that does bear questions because, of course, you've got to factor in the downforce element in Sector 1. There is a heavy braking zone. There is those slow speed sections. Watmere may have favoured that over, should we say, the straight line speed you can garner in Sector 2 and Sector 3. I know that obviously you have the hairpin bends, but it doesn't near enough demand the aero drag that you would naturally see coming in towards turns 1 and 2. That could be a factor. Maybe Watmere running maybe slightly more wing than that of Blakely, or maybe something else indeed that might garner him that little bit more grip heading into the corners. But nevertheless, Blakely on top. Jarno Watmere not too far away either, even if he is factoring in that level of downforce. Might just be enough for that 10th of a second difference, just over a 10th in fact, between the 2 former F1 esports champions. Of course, Lucas Blakely, a current champion. Both of them are PSGL champions, that's for sure. But a stellar showing from Lucas Blakely, and ahead of the 2 Ferraris as well. Great lap from Longue, certainly in the mixer, only 6 thousandths away, Jack. That just goes to show really how close this big affair really is.
Absolutely, yeah, it's only 6 thousandths of a second between Blakely and Longue as well. So it will be certainly a great shootout for Paul, and Barry is in the mix there as well, 200ths off there as well, but only 600ths back from pole position in that regard. There's a certain Simon Weigang who's looking really, really good there in P4, so watch out for Simon. Alfie Butcher sits P5, Jarno, Sipos, Benham and Hughes and Rasmussen currently the man just about in P10 in front of his teammate Josh Ito. So plenty to keep your eyes on, but this is pressure on now for Alfa Romeo, for Thomas Ronar, and especially for Brendan Lee. Thomas Ronar, this is going to be an uphill battle for him in the race because he has got, cumulatively, he's got 8 seconds worth of penalties carried forward from last week's incidents. So he's going to be sort of out of the running. But Brendan Lee, this is his crunch time, really. He's straight back out onto the circuit now. And this needs to be a big lap from Brendan Lee. Now, considering it's a 25.8, you would wager that could have been possibly on used tyres.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. 25.8 is quite a gap, especially when we factor in F1 esports. Generally, we see them, if they're not within the same tenth of a second, it's 1.5, 2 tenths perhaps at the very most. But Brendan Lee, 3 tenths out of the should we say out of the question where it comes to the times at the sharp end. I'm looking at on my timing screen here. He's not losing it. He was faster than Blakely in Sector 1. Was incidentally, I think, losing it, in Sector 2 and Sector 3, and it was quite an amount he was losing out on as well. Lucas Blakely sustaining a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. That will, of course, mean we will have a restart. Of course, I believe we had that factored in quite some time ago. Barry Burman retires from the sessions. That's both Ferraris now out. Marcel Kiefer has left the session. Doesn't want to leave it too long, though, however, because, of course, he will be back for the race, not factoring in to this session at all after getting evicted from Q1. But all the cars now getting set for one last chance to dance. Just want to remind you folks at home as well, if you're enjoying PSGL, you can hit that red button. And I don't mean your Sky remote. I'm on about, of course, the big red subscribe button down the bottom so we can achieve that 40k we're looking for. We do appreciate you, every single one of you, for tuning in here tonight. Make sure you leave a like as well and stay up to date. We have got plenty to bring you. Looking forward to tonight's race. Of course, all 4 championship protagonists in this session. Let's hope they make it through to Q3 as well, and we can have a battle between the titans of this league right now. Can't wait to see who's going to come out on top, Jack. Of course, 5 places go out yet again at the end of this session, and certainly 4 of the drivers in this mix don't want it to be them, as it could make the difference in terms of the title.
Yeah, and it's a 10th down from 1st to 10th roughly at the moment, just under 2 tenths actually, a 10th plus 8 if you want to call it like that, as we now see the runs begin for the last bit of qualifying. Wilson Hughes is the man who will get us underway for this, as well as Tom Manley, who needs to get a lap under his belt here. He needs to get through to the next part of qualifying, wants to get himself through. He's strong, especially strong around Jeddah, so we will see if he can get himself through into the next part of qualifying. 31.2, that's on par with Nicholas Longay in sector number 1 for Tom Manley. So good stuff for the AlphaTauri here as he wriggles his way through sector 2 on board with the AlphaTauri. Gets the nose in for that right-hander. It's gone by in a blink of an eye, that sector as well, as he brings it up to sector number 2 in the AlphaTauri now. He went well here last time, wants to get himself through to Q3 and is certainly on for it here as he heads towards sector 2, and that is a great middle sector from Tom Manley as he winds his way up towards the last couple of corners. Now into the last corner he will come. Has got to spot the braking. He's already thinking about it now as he heads towards the final corner. A really good looking lap from Tom Manley in the AlphaTauri now. Onto the brakes, down into 4th gear, gets it turned as much as possible. Possibly a bit of understeer mid-corner there, but sorts it out. Heads towards the line now. Tom Manley is currently lost to the pecking order. Can he get himself through to Q3? Yes, he can. He goes fastest of all with that lap. That was a great lap from Tom Manley. And we'll see now if anybody can respond to that. Wilson Hughes can and goes into 2nd.
Yeah, stellar lap there from Wilson Hughes, and incidentally went purple in sector 2 as well. Simon Weigang is absolutely on fire right now as well. Of course, he's showing some really brilliant times. Also showing a brilliant time is Ismail Fassi. He's gone purple in sector 2. The Williams looking to upset the apple cart. In comes Fassi now up towards the line. 6th fastest, a disappointing 3rd sector. The 1st sector he lost out by mere hundredths. Lost a little bit more though in the final sector. Now we're seeing more cars make their way across. Josh Edo is also up on his time, but not enough to get through, and is currently on the brink. Jake Benham is invalidated. He won't be improving. The Flying Dutchman comes next. He's got to get out of the bottom 5. He goes to the top. Jarno Opmeer, a stellar lap from him. He now secures his place in Q3, and that's what you need, especially when you're in the title fight.
What a close. 0.08 of a second is from 1st down to 10th once again. But disaster. Brendan Lee out in Q2. Did not get the lap together, and that is not what he needs for his championship contention here. But Ronar gets through, Borman gets through, Blakely has got himself through, and Jarno Otmir has topped the standings in Q2 ahead of Tom Manley. But 8/100ths of a second is all it was between being top and being 10th, and Simon Weigang missed out by just 100th by making it through. He starts in P11, but what a fascinating start to this we've got. So Brendan Lee eliminated from this part of qualifying, but as you can see, incredibly close across the board here. Rasmussen, though, possibly the underdog there in a way, got himself through into Q3 with that final lap, just beating out Simon Weigang by 9/1000. Sipos is not going to take any further part. Josh Ito, Jake Benham, and disappointingly, Brendan Lee not taking any further part of this. He'll have to start from 15th. But Ferraris, Borman and Longe got themselves through, as did Jarno Otmir and Lucas Blakely. So big story there. But again, week in, week out, qualifying just incredibly close. 800ths, and we still have yet to have the battle for pole position.
Incredible. And another great bit of news as well, Jack. Of course, we just witnessed some stellar qualifying performances and only mere fragments between those across the board as well. 91, I think 96,000 encompass the top 12. Incredible, which is sensational. Stellar job from everyone involved. We're now down to our final 10, but I just want to say a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. We've hit 40k, Jack Kinnan. We can celebrate.
Yes.
Woo! What a performance.
Finally.
Yeah, does that mean we claim a dub as well? That's got to be pole for us, isn't it? Surely.
That's pole fastest lap, and winning by a whole lap for us.
Yeah.
That's just easy for us. But,
guys, honestly,
yeah, thank you.
Can't thank you enough, honestly.
Yeah, thank you all so much. 40,000 is an insane number for again, a voluntary league. We don't do this for any money or anything like this. It's just us having a bit of fun, and the drivers are all having a bit of fun and prepping for F1 esports at the same time. So, you know, when we started, what was it? What did we start with? About 800 or so?
Something like
when
that,
PC started, something around that number. Now we're at 40,000. So let's keep going. Next target is 50. So let's see if we can get that. But we've now got the fun parts of the evening, which is Q3 around Jeddah. So don't go anywhere. We're about to bring that to your screens as well. Followed immediately by the race following a lobby restart, of course, because you may have seen all these silly illegal blocking penalties coming up from the game, of course, and in order to just get rid of those, we'll be restarting the lobby and setting the grid. So Dylan Moran has got to do all that lovely stuff for us. But who's going to be putting on pole position? Well, it's going to be a hard one to call. We've had Otmir top Q2. We had again, it's a really tough one to call. Tom Manley looking really good, and he did go incredibly well around here last time we were at Jeddah. So Tom Manley possibly an outsider there. It's the young guys starting to find their feet now. Alfie Butcher took a win last week. Can Tom Manley do it this week?
God, I mean, Alfie Butcher has been a tremendous icon, I think, in recent weeks. Obviously, he's been coated, shall we say, not necessarily in glory at certain stages, but I think we've seen enough to declare that he is on the pace. And the fact that you can win a race at Spa, he's not the only one to do that, by the way. Istvan Pukki did exactly the same, blew everyone out of the water at Spa-Francorchamps. But he sees himself in Q3, Jack. And I think from someone who, shall we say, it shouldn't be necessarily a surprise because he dominated F1 esports challenges. And naturally, you've got all the young stars looking to make their way through. A lot of hungry young guys that want to be the best in the world. And you've got to throw Alfie Butcher in that equation because remember, he dominated challenges in a very feisty grid.
He did. And he's carrying form now from last week. Possibly filled with confidence. And again, he'll be looking to try and keep that going as well. And as you said, yes, he's the reigning PC Challengers champion. He's basically showcasing what he can do against the top guys. Challengers, of course, is among some incredibly talented guys as well. But when you're talking about PSGL and all the leagues like that, you're fighting with the current F1 esports guys. So it's a perfect way to sort of announce your arrival to get a win on a grid like that. And we've seen it lead to success before with certain drivers competing in league racing, getting picked up by F1 esports teams as well. They do keep their eye on everything that goes on here. So they'll be thinking, They do keep their eye on this as well, so they'll be looking out for guys like Alfie Butcher, guys like Tom Manley as well, especially if he puts on a performance tonight, and you know, all these young guys who are making their way through the order as well. But again, they're fighting possibly against one of the some of the strongest guys as well. Ishmael Fassi's done a great job to get through the Q3. We didn't really mention him, did we? We said his middle sector was disappointing, but again, Q3 against a grid this strong. I mean, alone with that, it's incredibly good.
Yeah, absolutely right. And in amongst this grid, you've got some of the best you'll ever see in league racing taking part. Tom Manley, though, getting us underway here in Q3. And now the mission is clear. Pole position or bust, as now the AlphaTauri makes his way through Sector 1. Very many tout Tom Manley as a star of the future. And you'd be very right to think that as well. Makes his way through the next sector as well. Gear 5, then back on the throttle again. We'll feather it heading through this next segment in 6. And then flying through the next right again. Just a sequence of corners, rights and lefts. You believe it, we've got it here in Saudi Arabia. The Jeddah Corniche Circuit, as I said, very recently opened, 3rd of December 2021. 6.174 kilometres, that's 3.836 miles. 27 turns now as Tom Manley comes through Sector 2. Looking so good right now. 31.2 in the first sector. Looks like a statement, but it's just been taken away by Nicolas Longuet. He's back again, the Frenchman. As now Manley makes his way now down towards the next hairpin. And this will be the final hairpin before he then tackles the home straight. Obviously, as you'd expect, Purple in the second sector as he confirms his time coming across the line, looking very strong indeed as he now comes through towards turns 21, 22, 23 and 24, and a bunch of corners here at Jeddah. Some of them don't even look like corners either as he makes his way through turn 27, back on the power again as the city all lit up here in Saudi Arabia gets set to light up with an AlphaTauri across the line. Tom Manley, 125.767 to kick us off, but here comes Longuet, and bear in mind Purple initially, but he's had that taken off him too, but that still sends him to the top with a stellar time already. Lucas Blakely still where he is. Wilson Hughes continuing his rampant run in recent times as well, certainly in these sessions. Ishmael Fassi falls fastest as well, and now we've got the other Ferrari, the sister Ferrari of Barry Burman, current championship leader on 63 points, twice a race winner this season. He's on top with a 125.455, Jack.
Fastest so far. That's exactly what Borman needs to be doing now. But Wilson Hughes, so impressive for the moment now as Rasmussen goes P5. Still got 3 more cars to set times. A Butcher on top for the moment in on the 25.442. Still more to come. But Ronar pulls a 3, a 0.3 out, a 0.390. Thomas Ronar goes fastest of all for the moment here in Q3, and there's only 1 car left out on the track for the moment. Jarno Watmir, who is on a good lap at the moment. Thomas Ronar, 25.390, sharing the front row with Alfie Butcher. Into the final corner comes Jarno Watmir down towards the start-finish line now. Was looking really good in Q2. Has he got more to give? Ronar with a 0.390. What does Jarno Watmir have? Not currently enough for the 125 edge, so that will be a used set of tyres for Jarno on that lap. So Ronar with the statement straight away, a 0.3 to get us underway. Alfie Butcher on a 0.4. Barry Borman currently, though, he is again at the top of the order when we talk about our championship contenders. And we've got to bear in mind that Thomas Ronar has got 8 seconds worth of penalties to serve at the end, so he's going to have an uphill battle even if he does start on pole.
I'm going to save his very best to last, Jack. 25.390 is a stellar lap indeed. Of course, Jarno Watmir only managing to barely get into competitive timings, was mere hundredths outside of that of Thomas Ronhar's time in the first and second sector. Needed a massive third sector to make a change, but you'd imagine that maybe the older tyres coming into effect. Just look at that gap indeed. Half a second near enough, 4/10 in fact separating them about. But nevertheless, we've got one more run to bring you. But Thomas Ronhart already, I would imagine, on the fresher tyres, 52 thousandths ahead of Alfie Butcher, who once again displays his very best. Barry Burman in third. Wilson Hughes, I'm impressed with the Scot here. McLaren have looked solid. Obviously, Blakely you'd expect, but Wilson Hughes, we know he's got the talent, Jack, but I think this has been the best qualifying performance we've seen from the young man.
Yeah, and the thing is, on 25.5 initially, has he got possibly a little bit more to give as well? Could he be an outside shot for the front row even for Wilson Hughes? Be great stuff for him. This is incredibly tight here. Ronar currently top. Alfie Butcher, again, P2 and be looking to try and go back-to-back victories. Only two people, or only one person has done back-to-back victories, and that's Barry Bormand. But Lucas Blakely is the only other driver this season who has got more than one victory. So calm before the storm. Let's see if Alfie Butcher can do it again. But crucial race, and this is Barry Bormand delivering once again. He's in P3, and I think he'll be happy with that for the moment. And we'll see if anybody else can get through. But I think he was aiming to get through to Q3 no matter what. He had the poor performances last week where he was knocked out in Q2, had the spin in Imola in the first corner, and wants to be in the mix once again. And he's doing that right now. If he can get himself on the second row, that's a huge advantage for him.
It certainly is. Now, as we see the cars get ready to go out again, Jarno Watmere, the last car to come back into the garage, but you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to jump straight back out straight away, as we now see the other cars make their way down the pit lane, being led by none other than the McLarens. And I believe, in fact, it is going to be Lucas Blakely heading out first. It is the Scot. Of course, it's a double Scot lineup here at McLaren. Wilson Hughes also Scottish. And both of them very early on in the second run, making their way out in Q3 as well. And this is time for you folks at home to get involved. Let us know who your prediction for pole is. We want to hear from you. Who do you tip? Who do you fancy? Who are you supporting? Let us know in the live chat. Also, Jack, we want to hear from you. Who do you think's grabbing pole?
Oh, this has all been turned upside down now because of those last runs. But I feel it could be a certain... I'm going to lock in Lucas Blakely for this one.
Well, Lucas Blakely is your shout. We need to make sure he has a very good start to his flying lap. That first sector is going to be absolutely crucial. 25.390 to beat. That was set very early on from Thomas Ronhart. It tends to be a trait that he tends to acknowledge time and time again. Thomas Ronhart always ensures that his opening run in Q3 is generally competitive. And I'd imagine that is flexing the use of multiple soft compounded tyres at the very end of a qualifying, and naturally trying to carry through as many compounds as possible to the final session in Q3. Obviously, that does give you an advantage and will allow Thomas Ronhart to use perhaps more than one fresh set of soft tyres. As Blakely now gets set for his last chance to dance. He's going to be joined by Tom Manley as well in behind. Just going to read through some of these names as well that you guys are bringing to the table. Alfie Butcher's being tipped. We've got Jarno Watmere being tipped. We've got, who else? More for Jarno as well. Fabrizio Donoso. We've got, again, for Watmere, Wilson Hughes getting a tip as well. Keep them coming, folks. We want to hear from you as we're now seeing the cars make their way down. Lucas Blakely gets us underway here as he makes his way down towards turn one now. Needs to be primed on the brakes as well as he now cuts into turn one. Just barely grazes the sausage curb. Leaves the sausage butt on the edge of turn one. You don't want to be too heavy on that segment as it can lead the car to unsettle ever so slightly. Lucas Blakely now making his way through the first sector. And just grazing the curbs as well on exit, not overextending. We saw a couple of drivers doing that earlier on. Jake Bedham, of course, doing it in Q2 as well. Blakely makes his way through already, showing purple in that first sector of sorts. 31.2 though. It isn't purple, in fact, on my timing screen. It's still Ronhart. In fact, no, it's Alfie Butcher who has purple in that first sector so far. 31.059. In the second sector, Barry Bormand has a 27.6. So keep your eyes peeled on this, folks, as Blakely now makes his way through the middle sector. Needs to try and follow up sector one with a blistering sector two time. Makes his way now through the blind corner. Oh, a little out of sorts though, making his way through that. Can catch a few drivers out, but he has gone purple in that second sector. A 27.5 here for Lucas Blakely. Now needs to tee up a real hellacious run, but he's had it taken away from him. Longay has the purple second sector. Can Blakely bring this home in sector 3? He's going to be charging down now towards the line. A crucial moment here in this session now. Here comes Blakely. Goes across, fourth fastest, can't improve from where he was, but Longay might. Tom Manley goes fourth fastest. Here comes Longay, he splits them, goes fifth here at this point, but in comes Wilson Hughes, Jack.
Pole position for Wilson Hughes for the moment. Provisional pole. What a drive from Wilson Hughes if he can hold on to it. Here comes Barry Bormand though. This would be crucial. And he pulls a 25.2 out of the bag. This is what he needs to deliver. Barry Bormand provisional pole for the moment. Here comes Alfie Butcher. Can he displace him? No, he can't. Still a few more drivers still to come though. Freddie Rasmussen up towards the line now as they cross the start-finish line for the final time. Rasmussen, does he have enough in the bag? He goes fourth fastest. Freddie Rasmussen goes. Here comes Ronald though. And he's up on his time here. And it's pole by a 1,000th of a second. Thomas Runner goes pole for the moment, but here comes Jarno Wotmir. Does he have enough in the tank? It's not quite enough for pole position in the end for Jarno Wotmir. How close do you want it though? 0.001. Thomas Runner has stolen pole position here at Jeddah from Barry Borman. It was last year's title fight happening once again, but Borman second on the grid. That's what he needs. Wilson Hughes with a career best third on the grid here, and also just in front of Alfie Butcher by 1,000th of a second. Rasmussen goes 5th. Jarno managed 6th in the end. Tom Manley 7th. Longe 8th. Blakely didn't quite get the lap together in 9th. And Ishmael Fassi in P10. How close is that? 1,000th of a second. But that is exactly what Borman needs, considering Runner has penalties. That is prime position for this race.
Yeah, typical, I think, qualifying from Thomas Ronhaar, getting that time in very last minute, but 1,000th of a second. All that separates them, folks. That is incredible. Sensational. And again, typifies here, PSGL. Incredible. 40,000 subscriber, should we say, appreciation stream. And I tell you what, the drivers haven't let us down one bit. We're going to take a quick ad break. We'll be right back to analyse. Stay with us. We'll be right back. See you in a bit. Well, welcome back, folks, and I tell you what a blistering qualifying we just witnessed. Jack Kinnan, obviously Thomas Ronhaar going to the top, taking pole, and more to the pace I think we've come to expect from the Dutchman, and it couldn't come at a more poignant time because, of course, we've got F1 Esports just around the corner. He may be out of the PSGL Drivers' Championship, but obviously still contributing to Alfa Romeo in terms of their Teams Championship hopes, and being alongside Brendan Lee, that is still a potential reality. But again, I would say that the championship fight in itself, in terms of the drivers, is very compelling because obviously Brendan Lee losing out on Q3 the way he did, and then also we've got those up at the sharp end, you know, should we say Jarno Wotmir P6, Lucas Blakely further down as well. It really is going to be a test of strategy here at Saudi.
It is, and it's going to be possibly the swing of momentum that Barry Borman needs. He needed that qualifying, and I'm sure he'll be fired up from that as well. But I'm sure he'll be very annoyed that he missed out by 1,000th of a second as well. That is incredibly close that we've got there. So he knows that he's in prime position. He should know that there is penalties for Runner carried forward from last week. 8 seconds to be added to his race time at the end, so he knows that he can try and at least hold second, but he'll want to be in that lead position. Of course, the straights are so long around Jeddah that sometimes it mightn't be the best thing to be in the lead around here, so Runner's going to be thinking of that as well. But he can't afford, Borman cannot afford any mistakes, neither can any of our championship contenders really, because you've got Wotmir starting 6th, Blakely starting in about 8th or 9th, and an uphill battle for Brendan Lee down in P15. But we've seen it done before. Safety car can throw it out the window, and we don't know. We could see rain. We've seen it before. We could see it again.
It's a possibility, and the weather is very much now on the dynamic route. We've obviously had that confirmed. That was something that changed fairly recently, in fact, and the drivers actually had a vote. They said we're going to insist on dynamic weather because there was a question of whether they tried to mimic the weather, of course, when we had the lobby restarts. The drivers turned around and said, well, regardless of what happens, you're never going to get it spot on. You might as well turn on dynamic weather. And as far as I'm concerned, Jack, that's better because, of course, none of the drivers know what to expect. And I think that allows us to have a much better race.
I agree, yeah. So there was always arguments about the weather slots and how they work. That I know if the lobby host was setting up the lobby, there'd be an argument over whether there was one dry slot or one partly cloudy slot and all this kind of thing. So to avoid all those arguments and make it easier for the lobby host, it was just stick it on dynamic and we'll deal with the consequences, because everyone's dealing with the same
They're on
thing.
the same boat.
Nobody's gaining an advantage from having it on dynamic either. So there was no reason for it to not happen, and it makes it more interesting for us and for them. They don't know what they're getting themselves into when they join into the lobby as well, loading into the race. Of course, as well, there's no formation lap because there's still the problem with the tire temperature, so they don't have a chance. If it is raining, they actually don't have a chance to run a lap at all in those conditions, which can lead to some problems, especially when we're talking about Jeddah, turn 1, a 90-degree left-hander could be a possible problem there. But Barry Borman now needs to focus on getting this result and outscoring both his championship rivals, because we know 4 rounds left, including this one. If he can get a big point score here today, he can at least avoid clinging onto the championship and start getting himself a gain and start getting himself an advantage that he can work with.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed, Jack Canan. As always, folks, we really appreciate your support as well. We're celebrating 40k subscribers here tonight. Thank you, each and every single one of you, for all your support and tuning in. Of course, we're brought to you, of course, by our great sponsors as well, GT Omega, who, of course, are part of PSGL too. They, of course, invest into this league. They support this league. And we very much appreciate them being on board as well. Virage GG, one of our more recent acquisitions too. They, of course, join in the PSGL ranks as an official sponsor. You might have seen their adverts as well joining us too. So make sure you check those guys out. And don't forget to check out the social media at PremierSimGL on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Plenty of news being dropped, of course, on the social medias in terms of the stewards' decisions and also in terms of the championship fights and also the broadcasts themselves. So, and if you want to check me out as well, folks, might as well just smash the socials out now, Jack. In fact, if you want to check me out as well, folks, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at George Morgan TV, you can find me there. Jack, where can they find you, my friend?
Well, if you use these wonderful graphics right below our names, you can find us there as well, at JackCComs on Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it now, and Jack_Canan on Instagram if you want to follow me over there as well. So, and again, make sure to follow the PSGL Twitter and Instagram as well. That's where you'll get all the updates on the stewards' inquiries if there are any post-race, and interesting statistics that the guys have started publishing as well. Stuff that we actually haven't thought about before as well, which is great as well. I think there was an average finishing or average qualifying grid position for so far this season. I think Longate has the highest average grid start of everybody so far this year, which was an interesting statistic.
Yeah, very interesting, and looking forward to seeing how that pans out, in fact, because, of course, naturally, the stats are heavy when it comes to PSGL. We're seeing lots of different names starting to come to the forefront. We allude to the championship statistic. I think the most fascinating statistic is the fact that Jarno Opmeer still yet to win a race, yet sees himself second in the championship with 1 point behind that of Barry Burman. That complexion can be very different after tonight. Jack, can he do it, do you think?
Well, I mean, it's been done before, from 6th, obviously, on the grid, but again, so tricky with the current grid that we have. It is gonna. We've seen Jarno go alternate strategy before and it work out for him. So we'll see if he does something similar tonight, barring it doesn't rain, of course. Where that could throw everything out of the window, but. You know, 6th place isn't a bad place to start. You're obviously right up in the middle of the pack as well, but you get the benefit of DRS from there and can try and nick positions. And we know how strong DRS in the slipstream is. So you'd rather, in some cases, apart from being on the final lap and the run to the line, you'd rather not be that first car. We've seen on the previous occasion, Luke Smith did manage to do it, but only because the guys behind him were fighting so hard on the final lap. We could see, had they not fought, it probably would have been Luke Smith in P3 and those guys behind as well. So we've seen races go down to the final corner here before. So I'm expecting that to happen tonight as well. Yeah,
I think we could be seeing a real jumble, I think, across this circuit. It's going to be tight. There's going to be lots of scrapping, lots of battling. So be sure to enjoy this one. Let us know your predictions as well in terms of a race winner. We will read them out as well in the live chat. We're just waiting, of course, for the lobby just to get set up because, of course, we have to have a restart with the grid penalty system that currently is a little bit haywire in qualifying, so naturally it takes us a little longer to get stuck back in. But yes, let us know. We've got Jarno Goatmere will cook, says Milan. We've got Burmand as well, says the racing guy. Wilson Hughes win, says under. Jarno says Techno. Hey boy, what else we got here? We got Otmir's quality paces like my grandma's Sunday drive. That's an interesting take. Jarno Otmir as well, says Araman Singh. We've got Jarno will win, says Mohammed Suleiman Mustaq. And we've got Nicholas Longue for the win. It's a possibility. He has been in good form lately. Went close as well at Spa last time out. Jarno will cook, says Rashik. We've also got Jarno is goat, says Teddy Boy. We've got Jarno from Paxton Daniels as well. Jarno cooking from KDM as well. We've got plenty for Otmir, in fact. I'm looking for someone else who got Ragunathan. I can tell you that Mahavir is not racing tonight. We've got Lucas Blakely, says Kills, as well as Freddie for the win. Nice to see Freddie Rasmussen get a hype up as well. Donoso cooking, says Thomas, as well. We got a soft spot for Fabrizio, haven't we, at the end of the day, Jack? He's been around since the dawn of time. Of course, competed back in 2017. Very nearly beat Brendan Lee all the way back then as well.
Yeah, I think you're calling them old there, George, are you? Since around since the end, since the dawn
Pot
of
calling the
time.
kettle black here, Jack. Because obviously, yeah, I call him old guard because it feels like he's been around forever. Well, he has been around forever because, of course, he competed back in 2017 in F1 Esports, and prior to that was obviously in league racing too. But incredible. Yeah, I mean, why can't we acknowledge it, Big C? It's the one of the grandest achievements for himself as well, being a runner-up in F1 Esports. It's not bad at all. I take that. Listen, I take that. Take it to the bank. But yes, we got a Jack Canan W incoming, Jack. Do you think you can win this race?
Oh, easily. I'll win by a whole lap. That's it. It's just easy.
Yeah, you're not allowed to race because you're too good.
I'm too good. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm terrible. It's because I'm that good that they were afraid of me, basically. They were afraid of me taking everybody out, actually. But that's a different story. But we can see, Big C was mentioning a PSGL bingo card. Can we get that going?
Yeah,
Actually, that'd be hilarious to see if we could get going.
That's intriguing.
But don't tell us about it because then we'll just use it.
Yeah, probably will.
Yeah. So if you do have a bingo card, PSGL bingo card, start making one.
Yeah.
And you can let us know on the social media how you get on. But we are loading into the race right now. No formation lap, of course, so it'll be straight into the action and a crucial race for Barry Borman now. He starts second on the grid. Ronner has penalties carried forward from last week, so this will be his big opportunity to swing his momentum back and start building a gap. Can tell you, it is dry at the moment here in Jeddah, so we'll see if it changes in the moment, but going to be an interesting race and a big one for the championship.
It is huge for the championship. Just a quick reminder in terms of the point situation, guys. 63 points going to our championship leader, Barry Burman. Remember, we've got 4 races left before the end of the season. Jarno Watmir on 62, 1 point behind Barry Burman. One positive result for the Flying Dutchman could lead to him being the championship leader come the end of tonight's race. Brendan Lee, 56 points, not far away, but qualifying the performance out of Q2 might prove to be a real sticking point for him. Lucas Blakely on 53 as well, Jack. So quite a few to look at here. It certainly is going to be a testing scenario. Is Brendan Lee up against it?
I think so. 15th on the grid at Jeddah is a bit of a tough ask, but you know we can't completely rule out anybody really from this race. So watch out for Brendan if he can keep scoring points. We're about to go green. Yeah,
here we go, folks. All 5 lights are indeed lit. And it's pedal to the metal. And it is go, 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 go. Thomas Ronhard getting away well. Barry Burman in second place. Wilson Hughes now remains in third. Alfie Butcher in fourth. Jarno Watmir dueling it out already with Tom Manley as they come through turns 1, 2, and 3. And now peeling through the first sector. It is still Ronhard who leads. Jarno Watmir has had to forego the place to that of Tom Manley. Pedreño scrapping it out as well with Brendan Lee, who has lost out of place from the get-go and now sees himself in 16th, no longer in 15th. Jack.
Yeah, good start from Ronner and Borman there, but crucially now we can see the split in the strategy. You can see the top 4 have gone for soft tyres. Rasmussen on the mediums, Jarno's on the hard compound tyre, and the lead runner of the hard compound tyre. So he obviously was going to lose out to Tom Manley on the softs there. So it's Jarno, Longue, Blakely, Fassi all on hard compound tyres. Josh Edom making places on the medium tyres, attacking Jake Benham into the middle sector that couldn't quite get through. But crucial start for Ronner and for Borman there. They got away cleanly. Everybody got through cleanly by the looks of it, but Ronner obviously getting the clean decent start, but as you can see, Manly was always going to get through on those soft tyres. But interesting split across the board here. Some on softs, some on medium, and a lot on hards as well.
Yeah, Josh Edo moving up into 12th place, just ahead of Jake Benham, who is trying to keep Patrick Sheepos in behind. There's a bit of a divide forming further down. Simon Weigang is on a bit of a burst too, side by side with Ishmael Fassi, heading through the final hairpin bend now. Simon Weigang hanging it around the outside as they come through turn 27 with his nose in front. He's into the top 10 and holding on to that place as well. Ron Haar still leads the way. Barry Burman in second with Wilson Hughes in third too. We still see them all in tandem. And I've got to tell you, Brendan Lee knows he needs to make moves too. We can just see that Kiefer and Caraton, two veterans in the world of F1 esports themselves, coming together through the first sector, side by side, out of turns 1 and 2 and 3. Kiefer with the inside line, can he hold it too? Manages to squeeze through, but Caraton forced to go out wide off the circuit. They stay remaining wheel to wheel, heading through this next right-hander, a tap at the front wheel, and Kiefer's offline, but brings himself back on, but he's lost a place to Dylan Warren, and now it's to try and fight back.
That's hards versus mediums there. Not a hell of a lot you could do about that. Weigang and Fassi are still at it. Fassi tried to come back at Weigang there, but couldn't quite get up alongside him as they entered into the middle sector there. So Weigang up into the points right now. So more still to come. DRS still yet to be enabled as they come round to begin, or they're on lap number 2 right now, but they'll begin lap 3 when they cross the line next time by. Ron Haar leads Borman, leads Wilson Hughes, leads Alfie Butcher. Rasmussen hanging in there in P5 on the mediums. Watch out for him later on. Of course, he made this work in Japan, and we'll see if he can make it work again. Jarno holding P7 on the hard compound tyres ahead of Nicholas Longe and Lucas Blakely. So, of course, it's all about making sure that you can stay in that DRS. Everybody's still in DRS of each other. Nobody had an incident, as far as I can see, or a major incident that involved them falling outside of the order. Of Brendan Lee is up against it at the moment, loses another place to Danny Beresna. He's going to have a lot of work in his hands today. Yeah,
I think so. Thomas Ron Haar makes his way in towards turn 1. Barry Burman still in hot pursuit. DRS has now been enabled. Hughes now in third place. Just watching everything unfold. Freddie Rasmussen in a good position here. Jack medium tyres. He can obviously extend his stint that little bit longer. We got varying strats across the board, which should make for a quality race as Alfie Butcher currently sat in fourth place. Look at this now, starting to pepper the rear of Wilson Hughes' car as they come through the second sector now. Thomas Ron Haar has just gone purple in that first sector, incidentally. Coming through now into the hairpin bend. Butcher with a little look down the inside, does not plumb for the move, but starting to give Wilson Hughes something to think about. And Hughes, I would argue, dropping away from Burman and sees Butcher getting closer and closer all the time.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the ERS situation as well. You can see Alfie has actually got more to use compared to Wilson as well. So it isn't like he's saving or anything. He's happy to sit behind, but maybe wants to get in front as cleanly as possible without having to cost each other time here as they come to the middle sector. And he doesn't want to get that get caught up with that dirty air. He's so close to the back of Wilson Hughes on the exit there. Had to lift off slightly as they came towards the final corner there. And they'll begin another lap around Jeddah here. It's all been relatively calm up towards the front end. DRS now as they enter as El Caraton gets in front of Brendan Lee, who's continuing to struggle down there at the tail end of the order here as they cross the line to begin another lap here. Let's see if there's going to be any swaps up at the front end. Can't see anybody wanting to go for a move here. They're coming out of the slipstream. Burman happy to sort of show himself in the mirrors, not go for the move, and everybody being super orderly there as Manley nearly misses turn 1 and now might leave himself vulnerable to Jarno Watmere, but he will have the grip on the softs to get away. Just went slightly wide, compromised his exit, but all good there. But everybody being very patient. Nobody wants to lead around here at Jeddah.
No, not at all. Tom Manley doing well to recover that little issue heading through turn 1, and now sees himself trying to close up on Freddie Rasmussen. This will be music to the ears of Freddie. Remember, Manley on the softs. Jarno Watmere in a good place too, because remember, he is the highest performing driver on the hard tyres, so that will immediately give him a chance heading through the latter points of this race. We will expect those tyres to be coming off, should we say, towards the end of the, heading in towards maybe around lap 15 in essence, but obviously we've still got plenty more time left on the softs. As we know, see Manley make his way through the middle sector, starting to recover the time that he had indeed lost. 3/10 now of a second separating him and Freddie Rasmussen as they head through the tight slalom section. Nose to tail now, the gap's starting to become minute once again. Alfie Butcher also creeping closer and closer to the back now. We've got a move here for the lead. In comes now Thomas Ron Haar and Barry Burman. Burman now takes the lead away from Thomas Ron Haar, and the Iranian championship leader now jumps ahead of the Dutchman.
Yeah, no fight put up by Thomas Ronard there. He went around the outside into that corner there. Lets Bormand away to get in front, as we now see them all spread out down the straight. They don't want to get in the slipstream of each other and get in front as they come down into the braking zone now, as the hard runners start to make up a little bit of time now to the guys in front. Rasmussen holding station there in a P5 position, so good stuff from Rasmussen. Might come back to him later in this race, but Bormand and Ronnar still out in front. These were the guys who fought for the title last season. Ultimately it was Barry who won out in the end, but he'll want now to try and extend the line. He went wide there in the middle sector. That'll certainly be a warning for him there. Missed the corner inside, he had to take to the runoff. So Bormand is pushing here, but a little error creeping in the middle sector.
Yeah, certainly did. He ran off track just briefly, managed to regain, didn't lose too much time. I'd argue though that does show a little bit of vulnerability to that of Thomas Ronnar. Currently sits in second place, waiting to pounce on the fast Iranian. Currently sits at the top of the tree, 63 points to his name, championship leader, winner of 2 races already this season, and equal to that of Lucas Blakely also in terms of the championship fight. Blakely though missing a couple of races, therefore opportunities to gaining more points to further his cause. Thomas Ronnar now though with the overspeed is going to look to retake the lead now, heading down towards that final hairpin on this lap 5 of 25, and it is Thomas Ronnar back to the top with Wilson Hughes down in 3rd place, Barry Burman in between them.
Yeah, that's good stuff from the two of them there. They're not fighting each other too hard, as you can see, swapping around. But the crucial thing is these softs haven't really worked, have they? They were sort of to get away from the guys behind, but they haven't been able to do it, and are sort of stuck here. The hard runners keeping with these guys, as is Freddie Rasmussen, and they've lost basically no time. But they're going to have to pit a lot earlier compared to the guys behind. So this is really fascinating stuff. The softs really haven't. It was good off the start, but you can see that they haven't been able to get away or use them. The slipstream, of course, keeping everybody else with them as they come through. So Ronnar using the slipstream to get away now. He's sort of building a 7/10 of a second lead here. Borman not pushing though, as you can see. ERS-wise, still has about 95%, but you can see, very good. There was a little bit of contact in the middle there. I think there was a little touch in the rear from Butcher into Wilson Hughes, and this is going to now allow Jarno Watmere through on Tom Manley in the background. That's a chain reaction. Watmere goes back to P6, and now the hard runners start to come alive here. He's put a car between himself and Nicholas Longay, who might now be forced to attack. Wilson Hughes is now in danger of losing DRS to Barry Bormand in front. This might trigger a lot of movement here towards the top end, and it may be that it could cause a lot more problems for these guys, as Alfie Butcher now seems to be the cork in the bottle.
Yeah, I think so. Alfie Butcher there perhaps just losing it just ever so slightly, getting into the back, but certainly Barry Burman now retakes the lead here again on lap 6 of 25. A consistent theme I think we'll see lots of, as well as there's more scrapping further down. Tom Manley looking to try and take the place back off Jarno Watmere. Unsuccessful though, heading out of turn 27. They lead their way down towards turn 1 now. Watmere now choosing to break away out of the aero as he now looks to defend to the inside, heading in towards turn 1. Still no changes here at this point. Otmir now holds on to that 6th place. Burman now retakes the lead ahead of Thomas Ronnar. Lap 7 of 25, only just starting. Already the lead being swapped on multiple occasions here, Jack. And we're not even, well, barely a quarter through the race.
Yeah, that's it. That was a good move from Jarno there to get round Tom Manley when he could. Put a car between himself and Nicholas Longay, who's the other car who's on the same strategy as he is. So good move from him. Of course, Manley may decide to come back. He's gone slightly defensive into the hairpin there, and you can see that Manley is he's still trying to get back through again. Wants to get back through, retake that track position, but again doesn't want to cost them too much time either, as Rasmussen holds P5 as well. Dark horse for this one possibly in this one on the medium compound tyre in P5. Alfie Butcher looking to try and get past Wilson Hughes here. He had a little tap in the rear in the previous hairpin, but they all got away with it. They held position and they enter the middle sector now. I would expect another swap for the lead here between Borman and Ronnar down towards the final corner here. There's going to be no fight put up whatsoever by Borman. He gives him the inside. Through goes Ronnar. No fight put up whatsoever. And they continue to try and break away from the cars behind, but they're being unsuccessful in that venture at the moment. Try to extend these softs as much as they possibly can, but this is going to be a tricky one for them as they head down into begin lap number 8 of 25. Borman coming out of the slipstream of Ronnar, doesn't want to make a move there, and no moves being made further down as far as I can see, but you can see an interesting little bit there where they all come out of the slipstream because it's so powerful. If they were in the slipstream, they'd be passed by turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. They're very tactful with the use of the aero, and that's quite something. You know, that's another element that we can add now to League Race, and not only that into F1 esports in itself. And it's very much a strategic, almost a chess battle in many ways, choosing to make the moves at the right moments, and that does make a great driver. Thomas Ronhaar now leads here in lap 8 of 25. Himself and Barry Burman swapping places lap after lap. Wilson Hughes, who has had Alfie Butcher to deal with, but I've got my eyes set at this moment in time, Jack, on those on the hard tyres, because it seems to me they're starting to enter the frame. We're only on lap 8 of 25, but if this is the case, that could prove very damning for those on the soft tyres right now, because they don't have the opportunity to necessarily break away. They could lose out in the pit stop phase.
Yeah, they certainly could, and they'll be trying to stay on these softs for as long as they can, and if they can hold track position on them, of course, but they may fall off the cliff very, very, very quickly as Rasmussen gets close to Butcher. Now Butcher trying to get by Wilson Hughes once again, but no moves being made as they come up towards the final corner now. No swap between Borman and Ronhaar that time as they came into the final corner. So let's see if anybody decides to make a pit stop, perhaps on lap 8 of 25. Nobody coming in as far as I can see. They're spreading out towards the first corner. Wilson Hughes having a little look in the mirrors of Barry Borman there, but no move on for him there. And this is almost a hark back to last season, isn't it, George? Big, long DRS train. Nobody wants to make a move, but there are different strategies at play this time.
Yeah, there are. Variants of strategies, and this is something that we've been certainly asking for, I think, a lot. Barry Burman made a slight mistake there, though, heading through turns 3 and 4, and has left himself slightly exposed here. In fact, close to the front end of Wilson Hughes' McLaren, and nearly breaching a second. Now, Ronhaar will smell blood here. He'll look to push and perhaps break the chain and sort of maybe leave Barry Burman a little bit exposed here, which isn't a good thing, certainly for the current championship leader. He's trying to career himself higher and higher away from Wilson Hughes and back towards the tail of Thomas Ronhaar. But on those soft tyres, putting them to work at this stage will not help the degradation. Alfie Butcher again threatening on the rear of Wilson Hughes' car immediately. Looking to perhaps strike again, this time at the heart of the Scot, who currently sits on the podium places. Alfie Butcher looking to perhaps land a back-to-back race win. And that would certainly look very good on his resume. Certainly here at PSGL, the Haas driver looking to grant them grand success in the team's title race. And alongside that, a very experienced Danny Berejnet could prove to be the lasting fortune for them. Can they, or should they, carry out the necessary performances towards the tail end of the season as they make their way out to the final corner again? Now into the pits they go. Thomas Ronhaar coming through, so is Alfie Butcher. So now the stops are coming in. Those on the softs looking to break away here, Jack. But the Ferraris haven't boxed here.
No, they haven't, and they've decided to carry on. Of course, Borman is opting to stay out one lap longer. Longa is on the hard tyres as well, so he's going to stay out for longer. So Alfie Butcher and Thomas Ronhaar, they'll be going again, the medium tyres. You can see on the graphic, little mistake from Longa through the middle sector. They got a little bit of a snap oversteer moment as they came out of the S section there, but he hangs on to it. Tom Manley still all over him there, but Borman now on the push out front in the Ferrari. Wilson Hughes holds second. Freddie Rasmussen is the lead car on a different strategy. He started on the medium tyres. Blakely on the move now. He's going to get off the inside of Manley into the hairpin, and now he's on the move on the hard tyres. That just shows you now the softs really starting to die here. The hards coming into effect now, and Blakely now chases after Longa and Yarda Watmere in what would be the third car on the hard cut strategy here. So let's see if Borman, does he respond immediately to Ronhaar? You've got to think he's got to surely come in this lap and try and minimise the undercut here. Yeah,
I'd say so. I think you're absolutely spot on here, Jack. The cars, they're making their way through the middle sector, very soon sector 3 as well. Lucas Blakely, we just saw, made that really, really decent overtake there on the tail of Nicholas Longa now too. Of course, these two very competitive drivers in the world of F1 esports, and also here in PSGL. You can just see the cars flocking all across, using the entire circuit width as they head out now of turn 27 to begin yet another lap. Into the pits now comes the Ferrari. Barry Burman and Wilson Hughes. The McLaren choosing to box as well. We've got more cars coming in. Simon Weigang also choosing to make a move as well. Freddie Rasmussen, who was very much in the top 10, the sole car on the medium tyres, now leads the race with Yarda Watmere on hards, leading essentially the hards battle at this point because he's ahead of Nicholas Longa and Lucas Blakely, with Tom Manley extending the distance. The AlphaTauri going long on the softs and is the sole driver left in this classification on that soft compounded tyre.
Yeah, and you can see Ronar, Butcher both coming out in front of Barry Borman there. That shows you how crucial the undercut is. So now it's all up to Borman to close up the gap here to Ronar and to Butcher, all on medium tyres, but he will have the tyre life advantage, even if it is just a lap. But Ronar managing to get the undercut done on Boromans, and you can see Alfie Butcher also managing to come out in front of Alfie Butcher by using that strategy there. So we'll see now when they when they come again, we'll now have different strategies. We'll have Rasmussen, who started on the medium tyres, with Jarno on the hards as well, going longer compared to those guys, of course, on the harder compounded tyre compared to the softs. So we will see now as they get later into this race. It will be certainly an interesting one to watch. But Rasmussen leads now for the moment, with Otmir again all over them as they come into the final corner. And we'll see how this one is going to end. Rasmussen slides the car through the final corner, so he's on the mediums. He'll be able to go a tiny bit shorter, but Otmir does not want to wait behind, and he will overtake his F1 Esports rival, of course. And Jarno Otmir will lead here at Jeddah.
Yeah, and certainly Otmir's tyres can go longer than Rasmussen's as well. And just look at the cars, the plethora of them that are currently in behind. Tom Manley finally comes in to box off his soft tyres. Longay on 11-lap-old hards. And starting to gun down here on Freddie Rasmussen, who's going to start feeling them twitch ever so slightly. Alfie Butcher and Thomas Ronhart extend past Tom Manley. I get the feeling the strategy definitely worked against him here. Barry Burroman suffering also in the strategy elements of things, but does have a lap fresher tyres than that of Alfie Butcher and Thomas Ronhart, and you'd be hoping that it'll make all the difference. But in terms of the time, a massive 2.3 seconds separates him and Ronhart, so losing an abundance of time already in that pit stop phase. Freddie Rasmussen now, as we see him in second, gunning down upon the Flying Dutchman, who now holds the lead of this race. Longay in third, Blakely in fourth, Ishmael Fassi in the mix as well, looking to try and deliver a stellar performance as well for Williams. Lap 12 at 25, we're nearing the halfway point as Longay breaks out of the aero. It's all coming together now, but we've still got more pit stops to come, more questions to be answered.
Yeah, that 2.3 second gap for Borman might be deadly. Longay on the attack on Rasmussen now as they come up towards the final corner. Will he have a go on the outside? He might have the grip advantage here. Side by side between these two. Rasmussen just has the inside, and he'll hold that position for the moment as they head down towards the first corner. Now Longay really wanted to get by there, but not enough. He might have a go in towards turn one, but decides not to. And in the middle of that, Blakely sees the battle and decides, I'm going to come in and bolt on a new set of tyres. So Blakely, the first of the hard runners to come in, and he'll come into the pit lane.
Yeah, a little tap in the rear from Longay on Freddie Rasmussen, who got slightly out of shape heading through turn 1 and 2, but nevertheless no harm done. But it did look for a moment that there was going to be trouble. Alfie Butcher coming past the pit lane with Ronhart in hot pursuit. They both jump past, they sprint past that of Wilson Hughes and Lucas Blakely. So now it's starting to formulate right in front of us. Simon Weigang also in the mix on this. He boxed slightly earlier as well, in fact on the same lap as Burroman and Wilson Hughes. But Alfie Butcher doesn't seem to be losing any time. Manley's retired, so there you go. The strategy proving the case that Manley is
safety
unhappy,
car.
And we've got a safety car. He must have crashed, Jack.
He did. He crashed in the first sector there,
Great news
coming
for the
out of
hards.
the pits, cold tyres, and that is a free pit stop for everyone. Imagine if you've just been in the pit lane. Now it's a free pit stop for these guys out front. Jarno Otmir now can try and see if he decides to box off those hard compound tyres, but that is exactly what Jarno needed, and especially what Rasmussen needed. That is ideal for Freddie Rasmussen to get that. But if you're on the hards now, that is exactly what you wanted to see. That is disaster for Alfie Butcher, for Thomas Ronhart, for Barry Borman. But this is going to be interesting now. The first safety car in a while, and it was all Tom Manley. I think it was in turn number 4 or 5, just lost the car going through and ended up in the outside wall. And now this is going to really kickstart stuff as they're all going to come into pit lane now. Free pit stop for these guys. And, well, you can see the racing gods smiling down on these guys today.
They certainly are. And Jack, another factor in on this. All the championship contenders outside of Jarno Otmir are in the bottom 6. In the bottom 6, it's Barry Burroman, Lucas Blakely, of course, down in 17th, Burroman 14th. We've got Brendan Lee now at the tail end of the, shall we say, running cars. Otmir, the sole car, up in the sharp end and effectively leads the race. Alfie Butcher, though, who has decided to stay out. Now, that's an interesting call from Alfie Butcher, though I can imagine he can take those mediums a little longer. Out of the pits comes Jarno and comes out in front of Wilson Hughes, but in behind Barry Burroman, who now jumps the lot of them. But keenly enough, he has 3-lap fresher tyres than Burroman, the Iranian, with only 3-lap fresher, but still that can make all the difference come the end of the race.
Yeah, he really wanted to get out in front of Barry there. He was racing hard on the exit, but couldn't quite get out in front. But he does have the fresh advantage. Rasmussen has had to go to hard. Surely that's a mistake from Rasmussen. But again, did he have fresh softs available? Possibly not. So Rasmussen has had to go to the hard compound tire. The one who's raising eyebrows for me, though, George, is Josh Ito in P11, who's decided to go to the soft tire in P11. But let's see if that will work out for him. It might be good early on. But there's one man who you might be saying it might help him out just slightly. Not ideal, but still. It brings Brendan Lee back into the fold. Despite the issues he's down in P17. It could still work out for him. Alfie Butcher's had to stay out, of course. He now leads. Barry Bormand is P2. Jarno Wotmir is P3 for the moment. Wilson Hughes, Nicholas Longa, Ishmael Fassi, Rasmussen, Sipos, Blakely, and Benham. So, straight dogfight. The two championship leaders are second and third. Alfie Butcher, the last week's winner, is currently leading the race, but a point between them at the moment. Barry Borman versus Jarno Wotmir. I mean, how many times have we had this over the seasons?
Oh, it's unreal. Butcher in front and obviously extending on his 4-lap all-medium tyres. They're going to be feeling a little worse for wear come the end of this. We're going to be watching Ito like a hawk, but it's going to be such a mission for him to bring those soft tyres home and to be in contest for a top 10 performance. Points on the table. He'll need a long safety car. Would you not agree, Jack?
I think he will. But again, it's 10 laps, I think, is when he'll have to go when he crosses the line. 10, 11 laps. He's going to have a lot of work to do. We've seen the guys bring them about 9, 10 laps, so he does need the safety car, yes, to stay out a little bit longer for him. But it could be doable, but I think his tyres may just fall off a little bit towards the end. We'll see if it works out for him, but it's going to be an intriguing end. We haven't had a safety car in a little while, actually, here at PSGL, we haven't. So it was the Tom Manley who just unfortunately crashed on cold tyres, I think, as far as I can see, in the middle sector. I didn't quite see the incident happen, but it leaves Alfie Butcher in the lead. 5-lap old mediums, Barry Borman on 4-lap old mediums, Jarno on basically brand new mediums, and they won't have any wear on them because he's been behind the safety car for the whole time. Again, Nicholas Longe is on fresh tyres as well. Ishbel Fassi as well. I mentioned him in Q1, that he always goes well here. And what do you know? He's up there in the mix. Brendan Lee's back in the pits again to put on another set of medium tyres. So, not been a good day for Brendan Lee. If he gets a point out of this one, it'll be something.
It will be. Alfie Butcher now takes them under the safety car. You'd imagine that this will probably be the last lap under the safety car. Brendan Lee does have some catching up to do, and will certainly be trying to make his way closer and closer. I do wonder whether he's trying to extend it, though he is bringing that delta straight back in. Benham and Ito are currently swapping places, but they're currently all going side by side through the middle sector and heading out of the hairpin bend now. They're going to be stretching it down towards the back section of this circuit. Lap 15 of 25, effectively 10 laps and a little bit. 10.5 laps remain here in this race, and hopefully we'll be back underway as soon as possible. Ito and Benham are definitely having fun out there. Ito now retakes that 10th place away, but it's all down to Alfie Butcher. Pressure now on the young man, who has of course got the current PSGL champion in behind him. He's got a former PSGL champion and a 2-time F1 Esports champion in third place, with Wilson Hughes having a stellar race himself, but he's going to be up against it on those 4-lap mediums, with Longe and Ishmael Fassi also pressing in behind. It's interesting to note as we await the safety car to come back out, Jack, Freddie Rasmussen on hards.
I know. He either didn't have any new tyres available and had to go to fresh hards. We'll wait and see, but it might work out for him later in the race. Watch out for Rasmussen. He tends to go opposite to everybody, but now Alfie Butcher has to back the field up into the final corner here. Let the safety car get away, but a safety car restart here at Jeddah. Do you really want to be the first car down towards turn 1? We'll see, but Alfie Butcher will get us underway here, and a big opportunity now for Jarno Wotmir. Fresh tyres, P3, championship rival right in front of him. It's all on the plate. Let's see if he can deliver it. Yeah,
yet another lap beckons now very shortly as we come towards the closing stages. Every single car is boxed. Every single car now looking to pull off a race to the end, and certainly it's going to be a vicious scrap. Alfie Butcher puts pedal to the metal for the second time in this Grand Prix now. Butcher now heading down towards turn turn one. Jarno Opmeer swooping all over the back of Barry Burman, who still has that second place. Sheepos now at the mercy of Lucas Blakely, but retains the placement against the McLaren, who stays in P9 as well. Ido is going to look to rise. He's right on the tail. He's haunting Lucas Blakely, heading through the first sector. Butcher, though, looking to take this one home and hosed. He's trying to break DRS and tried to jump further and further away from Barry Burman, who has Jarno Opmeer chasing his tail. The two championship protagonists coming together here, Jack.
They are. Sipos going defensive on Blakely, who has a look on the outside, no way through. Ido, it was Rasmussen going wide there on the hards. He's sort of corking the bottle here. Ido is on the attack on the softs behind as well. You can't take your eyes off it anywhere, but Longa is all over the back of Wilson Hughes. You got Jarno challenging Borman up towards the front end as well. That is the crucial fight that we possibly need to keep our eyes on here between these two. They're second and first in the championship, of course. A point between them is all it is. Fresh tyres on Jarno Opmeer's car, but there's still time to go in this race. We'll see if there's going to be any swaps further down as they head down in towards the final corner. Opmeer now, DRS open. He has had looking on the outside of Borman, but again decides not to go for it just yet. He's hounding him. Longa is all over the back of Wilson Hughes. Well into the final corner they go. Opmeer late on the brakes on the outside of the final corner. Borman leaves him just enough room to work with. There's a stack up behind. Wings go flying in the background. Blakely's had a broken front wing. Opmeer goes through around the outside of the final corner in towards the last corner. They will go again and towards the first corner. Alfie Butcher holds on, but Borman round the outside was done by Jarno Opmeer, but there was a big contact behind. I think it was, by the looks of it, Lucas Blakely breaking his front wing 3 wide into the final corner. Doesn't go, but crucial move by Jarno.
It certainly is a massive move indeed, and now it puts him ahead of Barry Burman and could effectively land Jarno with the championship lead come the end of this race as well, and Burman knows it. He's in third place within half a second, but now Jarno is looking like the aggressor. He is on the youngest tyres of all in the top 3. Ido now sending it on his teammate, goes past Freddie Rasmussen, as you'd expect. Maybe some, shall we say, inter-team play from the Red Bulls. Ishmael Fassi as well starting the challenge. They come through the slalom again, trying to look from the outside of Wilson Hughes, but the door was slammed shut almost immediately as they come through the latter stages of lap 17 of 25. It's all kicking off. Jarno goes for the lead. Jarno Opmeer leads the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and now you could say the net championship leader should the results stay like this. Another twist in the tail as a chapter nearly closes here in PSGL yet again.
Ishmael Fassi on the attack on Wilson Hughes as well. It's all stacking up here into the final corner. Fassi goes for it on the inside of the McLaren. They're trying to get both, and Longa leaves the door open as well. Fassi on the move here in the Williams. Ido on the attack on the softs as well, just behind these guys. Well, DRS is only enabled now. Fassi on the attack towards the first corner they go. Ido watching in the wings as well. No way through for him on that attempt. Jarno, though, leads around here in Saudi Arabia. Alfie Butcher led him straight through. No fight put up by him there. But Borman is in a world of trouble now. He's got his teammate behind who's on much fresher tyres. Sipos has retired from the race in the pit lane. He's not going to take any further part, but that was a crucial move. Jarno now is on attack. He's trying to break DRS and try to get away out front.
Yeah, we got a yellow flag as well heading down the long straight. Brendan Lee. Patrick Sheepos has retired. Patrick Sheepos retiring in the pit lane, which is at least some solace, I think, for the race. But nevertheless, never nice to see a driver leave the circuit. But Jarno has broken clear. Lap after lap of fresher tyres. 1.1 seconds now separates him and the carving knife of Alfie Butcher, who is celebrating, certainly I'm sure, being in the top 3 yet again, and has also broken DRS on Barry Burman. Jake Benham, the All-Star, now going side by side with Wilson Hughes, former Conrad Gaming teammates, and now Jake Benham, the All-Star, lifts himself higher in the AlphaTauri, also part of the Mercedes outfit, but donning that AlphaTauri livery here in PSGL, and now ascends to P7, and certainly will enjoy that one. Wilson Hughes now under serious pressure though here, Jack, because here comes Freddie Rasmussen.
Yeah, Rasmussen's on the hard compound tyres, don't forget as well, and the 7-lap-old mediums underneath Wilson Hughes' McLaren at the moment as they come across the line. Longa and Borman swap positions down towards the first corner. Are they racing each other? It's hard to tell, but Longa will go through on the inside and Borman trying to stick with him, but this is a hark back to early seasons, as is, I think, an issue for Wilson. He's dropping down the order. Wilson is round in turn 1. Wilson Hughes was having such a good run and was facing backwards in turn number 1, and both the McLarens now run last of the pecking order. What a disaster for them, but huge moment in the championship here as Longa takes P3, Borman is P4, but this is a hark back to early seasons. Jan Watmere 2.2 seconds out front. Now he just needs to keep his nose clean out front, and he should be on his way to a victory here.
He certainly could be here. Thomas Ronha lifting himself higher and higher, gets himself past Freddie Rasmussen, who I think has an issue.
Oh, no.
Rasmussen as well with an issue and dropping through the field at this moment in time. I can't see any damage on the front wing, but he has lost plenty of places, and now we have got two McLarens at the tail end of the field. This is dramatic here at this moment in time. Longay going for second. Gets past Alfie Butcher with Burman now looking to come and join the equation as they make their way on lap 19 of 25. Jarno Watmere, though, consolidating his advantage. He's 2.5 seconds in front here, Jack.
He is, yeah. He's going to take a lot to get rid of that there as they come towards turn one. Alfie Butcher attacking 3 wide to the final corner. Borman's not giving up here and gets by on the outside of Alfie Butcher into the final corner, helped out by his teammate Longay. He needs every point he can get. He needs to stay in touching distance here down towards turn 1. Alfie Butcher on the attack on the Ferrari here. You can see Longay doesn't have DRS and anybody now in towards turn 1, and the two Ferrari teammates working with each other here. This is what they need to do. Rasmussen unfortunately out of the race now. Ishmael Fassi trying to attack on Alfie Butcher at the same time. No way through for him now, but this is crucial times for Barry Borman. He's got to stay with his teammate as much as he can, but you can see Longay is breaking away here.
He certainly is. Longay's now trying to put the squeeze on, turn the screw, even on his own teammate Barry Burman, but he has got the same tyre life as Jarno Watmere. Again, another stellar Longay performance. Remember, he won the Japanese Grand Prix here at PSGL as well. Barry Burman now down to third, but facing scrutiny, constant scrutiny here from Alfie Butcher and Ishmael Fassi, who suddenly looks like a real contestant here for this P3. I tell you what a drama, what an occasion it would be for this young man and the Williams team to advance their cause by having Fassi now bring himself into the mix. We have a grand record where it comes to youngsters here in PSGL. Fassi looking to add himself into the statistic. They come through into the blind slalom and now heading down in towards the latter stages of this lap. But certainly Fassi might be coming under pressure because here comes Josh Edo. He's going to come into the fight now. Alongside him, now we could see, well, certainly what looks to be Fassi trying to break away clear. Pedreño also going side by side. Butcher under pressure. Plenty of cars in the scrap. 3 wides. Oh no! Goodness me, huge crash. Monumental crash. And a virtual safety car has now entered the fray.
Alfie Butcher has gone from hero to zero. The front wing gone off the front of Alfie Butcher's car and from Ishmael Fassi's car, and the virtual safety car is deployed, and that ends what was a great run for those two guys, and no chance of a victory for Alfie Butcher now as they come through, but he'll be kicking himself for that. But what that has done is dragged Thomas Runner back into P5, Benham to P6, Berezne in P8. Dylan Warren from last on the grid is 9th now following those incidents, and Marcel Kiefer has gone P10 and will use now as a drive-through for speeding under the virtual safety car. It's all going wrong here, but look at the gap, George, 1.1 between Watmere and Longay, and you can see now he might be in danger. He's got it getting in DRS. Longay on the attack. He's on a massive push behind.
He is, as now we get the restart underway yet again. Longay bringing himself into the race equation. We've got a huge fight as well brewing with the All-Star Jake Benham and Thomas Ronha. Lap 21 of 25. Watmere still has the lead. It's just broken to above a second, but Longay now knows he has an opportunity. He has the same age of tyres here at this point with just over 4.5 laps still to go, and Longay will now look to try and turn the screw. There's Watmere in the distance. It's all coming to a head now, and he's very close to breaching DRS. This could be Ferrari's chance. It could be Longay's chance of sealing the deal on yet another win.
Yeah, you can see Jake Benham with a big lunge up the inside of Pedreño in towards the last corner there. They're side by side as they exit the final corner. You can see Danny Berezne fancies an opportunity here. Does he decide to go for it in towards turn when he's boxed in? There's nowhere he can go, but the Hungarian has got more ERS than everybody around him. You can see they run each other wide, and Berezne fancies an opportunity now. Goes up the inside of Pedreño on the exit. Calculated move from the Hungarian, and he moves up to P7. P6 on the cards for him now, but you can see Longay agonising close to DRS, but he can't quite get in there because they're matching each other each sector they go through. These are two greats going at it here.
It certainly is, and I tell you what, that is experience on show there from Danny Berezne. A brilliant switchback, sensational switchback heading through the first sector, and now stays in 7th place in behind that of the All-Star Jake Benham. Further up, we've still got the gap fermenting at around 1.1 seconds now. Otmir putting a 10th on top of the 1 second, and it was only a lap or so ago. So Longue needs to start grinding, needs to start putting the tyres to work here. Currently, he's pulling along his teammate Barry Burman into the mix. It looks good for Ferrari in terms of the team's championship, but we all know what's on, certainly what's on record is now Dylan Warren moves up into 8th place. Now remember, he started from the back of the grid. He's got a nosebleed up in the top 10 here, Jack.
Dylan Warren again, he's newly part of the F1 Esports squad at Ferrari. Marcel Kiefer's come from down in 18th place, and now these two are working together as they come towards into the last corner. Marcel Kiefer having a look on Dylan Warren as they come into the braking zone side by side. Good respect given as they head down towards the first corner. They'll come now, slipstream given by Danny Beresnay to Marcel Kiefer, but you can see Dylan Warren doing his best to hold the inside. Beresnay trying to hold on. Runner on the attack on Ito up front as well. Side by side between Kiefer and Warren in towards turn 1. They give each other racing room just about. Warren gets run out of road. Pedreño goes through on the inside. Kiefer moves up to P8, but Ronar moved up to P4 in all of that. But don't forget, he's got 8 seconds of penalties to add on, so this is not for position. No, not at all. Now remember, it was Kiefer and also that of Dylan Warren that came together back at Austria. That, of course, led to Dylan Warren essentially getting his time penalty after what had to be said some deep furore from the likes of Marcel Kiefer, who responded in a very, shall we say, potent verbal fashion. Was not overly impressed, of course, with the slow down tactics from Dylan Warren back at Red Bull Ring. But now Kiefer has got redemption. He is now ahead of Dylan Warren, 8th place, and more points on the table. Has been impressive on his rise now. Another man who's on the rise is Thomas Ronhaar, now moves up to 3rd and ahead of Barry Burman here now, with Ronhaar on the same age of tyres as that of Longue. Yet another headache here at this point, and obviously in that top 3 you've now got Otmir and Ronhaar together, Longue separating them. This could be a very furious ending to this race, as now in comes the All-Star Jake Benham now into the mix down the inside now on that of Josh Ito, up to 5th place now Benham, and now it's all starting to come closer together now. In comes Ronhaar again, Jack. Yeah, if there wasn't any penalty, this would be some drive from Thomas Ronhaar right back through. Up to P2 they go, and Ronhaar now has a chance maybe of trying to get up to Otmir here. And remember, these two have history, as there's an issue for Pedreño who's retired in the pit lane. But remember what happened between these two last week. Now remember, there was penalties applied because of it, and Ronhaar now has got to pay the price for that. He won't be fighting for a victory here, but Longue is now using Ronhaar to drag him up towards the broken DRS leader. He's in that DRS section, but tell you what, Jake Benham's not out of this either. He's all over the back of Barry Borman at the moment. This is not what Barry needs, and there's only going to be a lap to go at the end of this lap. We're on lap 24-25, and now can Otmir hold on to the on-track victory? It won't matter because there'll be penalties applied to Ronhaar anyway. If he finishes P2, that'll be enough to secure the victory, but he'll want to do it on track, and they're in the middle sector now. But these two, they came to blows last week. Will they come to blows again? Well, I tell you what, folks, strap yourselves in. We're on the penultimate lap of the race, lap 24 of 25. It's Jarno Otmir out in front. This man, Thomas Ronhaar, now looking to give chase. Remember, as Jack said, penalties to be applied to Thomas Ronhaar at the closing stages of this race, but knowing Ronhaar himself, this is a matter that he wants solved out on track, and Jarno Otmir is flashing. His light is flashing on the back of the Mercedes. Is Ronhaar going to try? Shall we say this is mind games at work between the two top performers in F1 Esports? Ronhaar and Otmir, the history that they have brewed together here in PSGL. It's on show yet again as Otmir takes him through turn 1. 0.3 of a second the difference as Otmir continues to save the battery on the back of his Mercedes now. Through towards the next segment, left and right to take. Ronhaar in behind with Longue now in 3rd, with Barry Burman in close pursuit. Lap 25 of 25. Here we go, folks. Final lap of the race. Sit in, settle in, grab your popcorn. This is going to be a treat to behold. Yeah, Jarno's going to really want to hold on to this, but I don't think he's going to have enough to hang on. He's flashing with the ERS, and you can see Ronhaar, he's got 40% ERS in the battery as well. He saved it up and used it well, and he'll be now able to take this. I think he'll have enough to take the on-track victory, but remember, penalties applied Currently, Opmir will still win this race as long as he holds second place and finishes behind Ronar as they come up towards now the braking zone. Ronar will want to take this desperately. He'll want to put one over on Opmir as they come towards the middle sector now. Only one more braking zone after this. He's being patient. He's waiting as they come through towards the final corner. Opmir versus Ronar. I was wide moment for Opmir. Nothing he can do about this. Here comes Thomas Ronar on the outside line, but he's got to watch for Longue. Here comes Nicholas Longue. This is for the win between these two. Longue is through on the outside into the final corner. There's a little bit of contact that's made through the middle of the corner. Longue has done the job on the outside line. He steals it as they run towards the start-finish line. Ronar wins on track. It's a run to the line, but Longue will win after penalties are applied by 600ths of a second. Ronar takes it on track, but penalties applied. Longue has won here in Saudi Arabia, and it's Opmir will again finish P2 after penalties are applied. Danny Beresnay, what a stunning drive from Beresnay. It's P4 for him. Benham is P5, Boormand is P6, Kiefer 7th, Ido, Warren and Carroton, but crucially, despite it being P2, George, Jarno Opmir is your new championship leader.
He is, because of course Barry Boorman down in 6th place. The points outweigh each other, and Jarno Opmir now is your official championship leader, and once again extends his record of P2s in PSGL this season to a massive 5 P2s. He still hasn't grasped his first win this season, but is on the road to securing a very similar Keke Rosberg style championship victory, but we've still got a small matter of 3 races to go. But it has to be said, another stellar performance from Nicholas Longue. That was a calculated move, Jack. Very well done from him as well. He seized the opportunity from the hands of Jarno Opmir, and while Jarno does obviously extend that record of another P2 to add to his accolade, I'd imagine that it's an unwanted one.
It is, but he'll be good at 600ths of a second across the line was all it was. But Nicholas Longue again joins the 2 club, as we call it, and he will take another victory. It took him 30 races to take his first victory here, and he does it almost back to back, Japan and here at Saudi Arabia. But you can see Ronar, he did everything right, waited till the very last moment, took the victory, but penalties applied. He will finish outside the points, and that's the way it goes. Longue will take the victory. Opmir finishes P2. Danny Beresnay, 18th, George. 18th to a podium for Danny Beresnay. That is a hat tip and a half to him. Steals it away from Jake Benham, who will finish P4. Barry Boorman finishes P5. Kiefer in P6. Ido P7. Warren will finish P8 from 20th and last on the grid. And then you have Carroton in P9. Simon Weigang will get the last points paying position. So ultimately, it'll end up being P13, I think, for Thomas Ronar after penalties are applied. But after all of that, you can see Jarno finishes P2 again, but now he has the championship lead, and that is exactly what he needs. Now on 74 points, and Barry Boorman once again, it's a P5, it's not the end of the world, but that gap now, he's finally lost his grip on the championship lead.
Yeah, absolutely right. And again, it's that form element, Jack, of course, where Boorman has always been extremely, extremely potent at the start of a season. We're now starting to see that regular trend starting to set in. The end of the season is starting to fall short for him, and now could potentially see himself up against it as we head towards the latter stages of this championship. While Thomas Ronhaar takes the victory out on circuit, he will be hindered by that time penalty. Longue, as I said, and as Jack said, your official winner here at Saudi Arabia. Jarno Opmir taking his 5th P2 of the season, with also Danny Beresnay now up into 3rd as well. A podium for Danny Beresnay, which is very impressive to boot. But yet again, the championship fight will continue. But I think, Jack, mathematically, this does mean I think that Lucas Blakely might be out of the mixer. Brendan Lee, I think, also struggled here today. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, still lots can happen. Plenty of curves and plenty of, should we say, I suppose, fits and starts that could still happen towards the tail end of the season. But, folks, you will, of course, get the updated standings very, very soon. Of course, they've got to go through in the entire Stewards catalogue. Lots of incidents to look at. And, obviously, the approved championship standings will be out after this broadcast, likely when we head into next week, but, or should we say latter this week. But a stellar drive, though, I think, from Longue. A very measured performance, Jack, would you say?
Absolutely, certainly a measured performance. I can tell you on my provisional, very quick scribble point standings, I have Jarno now leading the championship by 4 points compared to Barry, who is on 70 points. Jarno now on 74 as far as my calculations go. No points for Blakely and no points for Brendan Lee. But we might have to start counting Nicholas Longue now, George, with that win, because he's not far off.
No, he's not. In fact, he was very close prior to the start of this one. Actually entered the fray in this race with 44 points. And, of course, with many of the major players not scoring points here, Jack, that does give the opportunity to Longue.
He's now...
Yeah, I mean, he's
now third in the championship. I've just calculated it. He's third in the championship, 14 points off the lead.
Yeah, so he goes from all of a sudden having his first win at Japan to now being in with a chance of not only does he lay claim to yet another victory, his second of the season, second in PSGL history, but also in the context for the championship fight, which is an absolutely sensational record. And now Ferrari have got 2 cars in the mix.
Yeah, it's interesting. So provisionally, point standings, we have Jarno on 74, Barry on 70, Longue on 60, and then we have Brendan Lee on 56 and Blakely on 53. Now Danny Beresnay moves up on 46 with that podium as well. So very interesting. So the gap now, it was a point in favour of Barry. It's now 4 points in favour of Jarno with 3 more rounds left.
Well, I mean, look, it's getting really tight now, and with only 3 races to go, of course, our next round will take us to Mexico, and we'll look forward to that one. It's going to be very tight when we certainly head racing to that portion of the world, and naturally, this does open up yet again more drama, and certainly Mexico in itself very technical at the same time as being very quick. In terms of, again, looking at Barry's form, second at the start of the season when we had, or should I say, the points scoring start of the season, should we say, Zandvoort, of course, being round 3. And then, of course, he took 2 victories on the spin, Brazil and Hungaroring. It started to slip, though, didn't it, Jack, from Britain onwards, because, of course, he secured a P12, then, of course, a P9. His last podium coming at Austria, Red Bull Ring, coming 3rd on that occasion, and has since been outside the top 3. Has only actually been in the top 5 once, should we say, since, not factoring in tonight's result. Of course, twice he's been in the top 10 in his last 4 starts, which is pretty poor.
It is, and whatever's happened, obviously, it's just not clicking for Barry Borman at the moment. So, but again, he's still very much in this, 4 points off Jarno now, and he'll be wanting to try and go get that back-to-back title. But it's looking less and less likely now. He needs a big result in Mexico next week to keep himself in this. But it's a tricky one for him now. And seeing his teammate now starting to come forward, find his form, and obviously everything is provisional, barring any inquiries.
Yeah, and you might have heard there, a Euronius Nicholas Longue, who has just taken his second PSGL victory, not only this season, but as a whole. Congratulations, Nico. A very opportunistic move around the outside, I think heading through the final quarter. A stellar job indeed, and obviously with Ronhar collecting that penalty that he's due at the end of the race. Like I said, that does mean that you are a 2-time race winner here in PSGL. You must be thrilled, and also you're in the championship fight.
Yeah, that was honestly crazy. I think that was the most intense league race I've ever been part of. I'm not even gonna lie. Already in qualifying in Q2 with the retiring, that was already stressful, and then during the race it was just full push every single lap. I didn't have a single lap of relax. And at the end, Jarno managed to gap Alfie. So I knew that was going to be very tough to catch. And as we saw, I spent a few laps trying to catch, but we were doing the same pace. I couldn't catch him. So when I saw Thomas come behind me, I knew he had the penalty, as you said. So I just let him go and used them to just slingshot past. And I think the strategy worked out perfectly. We got lucky with the safety car as well. I'm not sure if this hard-medium strategy would have worked as good as it did without the safety car. Oh, obviously, all the others that started on top got unlucky with that, but that's league racing, I guess, and happens to everyone. But yeah, the race was very, very fun.
Yeah, no, it was. It was a very, very interesting race, and like I said, we haven't had a safety car in such a long time, so it was quite interesting that all of a sudden we got to see one. Obviously, with yourself now, your form has taken a bit of a turn, and you must be absolutely thrilled because you've gone from where you were at the start. Of course, you didn't necessarily start races at Zandvoort in Brazil. Of course, it was a bit rocky when you went to Hungaroring, claiming P17, and you had your P4, essentially your first top 5 at Britain, and then followed it up. All of a sudden, there's been a form change from Austria to Japan, of course, claiming that first race win, and now since then you've been in the top 4 in the last 4 races, so that's not a bad record, and 2 wins out of that as well.
I mean, yeah, I think I'm just feeling the game. I don't know. Obviously, I'm putting much more practice than I did at the beginning. At the beginning, I had a few things that I wanted to do first, and I didn't want to straight away get into the super grinding mode and burning myself out. But I found an equilibrium, I think, and I'm in a really good headspace, and physically and mentally. And yeah, I don't know. It's just the strategies are always basically the really perfect calls most of the time. But yeah, it's going well. It's going great at the moment. And also thanks to my team, the team around me. Honestly, it's amazing. With Jona, Simon, and Barry, and Tomek, and all the development drivers. We're doing such a great job at the moment. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And many of that team, in fact, actually looking after the affairs at McLaren in their successful run last season. So does that give you a lot of confidence heading through to the rest of not only the PSGL season, but the start of the F1 esports season?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, as you guys mentioned quite often, that these league races are pretty much preparing us for the esports, and whoever is in good form and usually performs well in these kind of leagues, they usually do also good in the esports calendar. So if that is the case again this year, I mean, why not see a cheeky championship fight in the championship? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to that. Congratulations, Nico, on your 2nd race win this season, and overall, and very best of luck for the rest of the championship.
Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's Nicholas Longay, everybody, joining us in the commentary box. We've also got the man who finished at the top on track, not necessarily going to finish in the podium places due to the penalty that he sustained, but I think he'll be pleased nonetheless. Thomas Ronha joins us in the commentary box. Thomas, welcome to the commentary box. It certainly was an interesting fight out on track, an interesting race as well, with the safety car coming out in between. How do you assess your race after that one?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very chaotic race, especially after the safety car came out. It all went downhill for a brief second. After the safety car, I believe it was P16 on track, so it wasn't a great situation. Everybody pitted, of course, in that new medium, so it was gonna be really tough to even get a top 10 possibly, or even a top 8, knowing how flowing the track is, and of course 3 DRS zones is gonna be really tough to get past. So I had to make the moves early, and needed some luck on my side. Luckily, there were some incidents ahead. I think there were 3 people involved in one incident with, was it Alfie, Josh, and Alvaro, I believe?
Yes. Yeah.
Into the start-finish race. So that was one of the key points for me to get past all of them. I believe I overtook 4 cars in one straight to gain the DRS of, I believe, the Ferraris. And then after that, I was just saving ERS, because I've been told all of the guys in top 4 did not have any ERS. And I was in P5 with 70%, so it was really just trying to get past him as soon as possible to gain the Yamaha DRS and eventually, pass him on track for the win. So that was a really good race from my side. Also tried to sort of help Brendan, because he's also P3 in the championship fight with Jarno, Barry, and I don't know who's 4th, Lucas. So yeah, try my best to help him out and minimize the points lost from him. So yeah, very happy overall.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, how important was that overtake at the very last minute? Because I know, obviously, you knew that you were going to sustain that penalty come the end of the race, but you put your best foot forward and you thought, well, I tell you what, I'm going to overtake him. Is that just down to sheer mind games? Is that you preparing yourself for another run at F1 esports? What are your thoughts as you made that move? What was the driving factor for that?
I think everybody knows that winning on track is always the best feeling. So I always try to win on track where I can. So going to the last lap, I wasn't gonna just sit behind and let the guy win. So I tried my best to overtake him. And of course, knowing Brennan is in the championship fight, I tried to sort of I wouldn't say help Nico, but at least give him sort of a bit of a toe to at least make them side by side and sort of juggle up positions over the line, which I think I did successfully. So yeah, I would say that's all I could do really, getting past Jarno and then trying to win eventually.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with the team at Alfa Romeo, it's a new team for yourself as well. How do you assess? How do you assess, obviously, moving forward into F1 esports? What's it been like working at Alfa Romeo? Because, of course, it might be a different dynamic to what you're used to at Haas, I suppose.
Yeah, it's always new for me and also for Brendan and Matthijs. But yeah, it's been amazing. Working behind the scenes, it's been going really well. As a team, the atmosphere is really good, so that's always important to have in the team. Yeah, it's going great. Pace is looking good. Consistency is looking better every race. Still some things to improve on, obviously. But I think I'm going in the right direction now, and just need to keep it up. And I think we'll do great things, especially in each season as well.
Yeah, well, I'd obviously, while it's not a win in terms of the points, it's obviously a win on track. So congratulations on that, Thomas, and we wish you the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Jack, as well.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Thomas. Great to have you on board. Next up, we have Danny Berejnay, of course, the man who would go on to take third place on track, of course, after the penalty that was issued to Thomas Ronhaar. Danny, welcome back to the commentary box. Great to see you, my friend, my Hungarian hero. Obviously, off the back of a stellar run at Saudi Arabia, it certainly was a busy race, a bit, hit and miss. Obviously, the safety car came out and changed a few things. How did you find it?
Yeah, hi George and hi everyone. It was a wonderful race from me. Very bad qualifying session. Had no confidence attacking the curbs. Made a couple of mistakes. Only started from P18, and obviously I would have signed the contract if they say that I'm going to finish on the podium this race, which is truly amazing. I had some bad luck earlier on with crashes, and also in Spa I probably lost the podium because of disconnect starting from P3 as well. And also being in P2 for the majority of the race, but life balanced out itself a little bit today, and I'm just really happy to have this nice experience racing around Qatar.
Yeah, no, it certainly was a very, very good race from yourself. Your second podium this season as well. Obviously, you've had a bit of bad luck creep into your recent form. Obviously around Japan, we all know what happened in between you and Alfie Butcher, but obviously the past is the past. But how do you assess your season so far? It obviously has been certainly fits and starts. The two podiums, I bet you take solace in. It's almost vintage Danny at this point, I would say.
Yeah, hopefully this performance by me carries over to the real F1 esports season, as this is basically the real F1 esports field. Everyone practices equally, mostly from Monday to Wednesday, and literally this is the strongest field that's ever have been here in PSGL. All Red Bull drivers, Mercedes drivers, Ferrari drivers, McLaren, everyone, basically all the recent world champions with Jarno and Lucas, and runner-ups Barry, Thomas Ronhaar, Frederick Rasmussen. So to be alongside these names and sometimes get podiums like this and consistent points and Q3s, that's just an amazing step up compared to my 2-3 previous seasons, and I worked really, really hard for this. So I just hope this keeps going, and there won't be any downhill anymore.
No, absolutely not. Well, this is the perfect bounce back, and hopefully, of course, it can go on to greater things. In terms of the obviously the rest of the season, what do you consider successful? What are you doing or working on to improve? Because I know that you are certainly stiff when it comes to use of the brake pedal, but obviously in terms of the rest of the season, have you got any eyes set on improvements in any races in particular that you're marking out as potentials for big points?
Yeah, probably race starts are still my weak points. I'm mostly too cautious and sometimes end up losing positions. Today this was not the case. Definitely trying to learn wheel-to-wheel positioning and also avoid all kind of accidents and benefit from them. But all in all, I think in a field tight like this, the track position in a qualifying session is actually the most important. So I never want to be out of a Q1 or Q2 again, just want to be in Q3 all the time, putting the laps together, having 2 fresh tires at the end, and be up there, because then you can fit at a relatively normal time, keep track position, use the DRS train to your advantage and get consistent results. And consistency is all that matters. I mean, whoever follows PSGL on Twitter, they see that no one really has a crazy qualifying average. So if someone can actually put all qualifying sessions together, great, he will be leading the championship. And even now, Jarno took the lead of the championship, and he didn't win a race this season. He could have, definitely, but it just really shows that consistency matters the most. And obviously, well done to him.
Yeah, measured and analytical as always, Danny. We really appreciate that, my friend. Congratulations on another podium, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you so much, and have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you. Danny Berejnay joining us in the commentary box as well. And that is Danny in a nutshell, isn't it, Jack? I think, obviously, we hear him, we listen to him speak. I mean, I could talk to him all day. You know, a fantastic driver that has been on the scene now for years and years. Of course, partnered Brendan Lee during his formative years as a champion. Has also teamed with the likes of Otmir and various others. He tends to be the bridesmaid, never the bride, in any inter-team relationship. But when you've got him in your team, he is so valuable, is he not?
He is, absolutely. I mean, you could hear how passionate he is. He always talks about PSGL and League Racing and F1 Esports. You can tell he loves what he does, and it's great to hear such knowledge come through as well. He's a fantastic guy as well, knows what he's talking about, and a great driver to have in your team. Been up there since, again, towards the beginning of F1 Esports as well. And he came from 18th on the grid today. I know there was a safety car as well, but he's definitely feeling a lot more confident than he did in the previous game, which is great to see. So we'll see if he can maybe get a win under his belt this year, possibly. We've had 7 different winners so far, 7 different winners since the beginning of the... It is, yeah. It's not 7 different winners in a row.
No.
I think we had 5 in a row.
But across the
5
season.
Winners in a row, 7 different ones. But across the season, since we, of course, voided the first 2 rounds. So it's, I mean, we can go for 8, possibly 9 towards the end. We'll see.
Who knows? And I tell you what, it's been the most competitive season as well. But the very fact that Longue, I think he showed something else tonight. Real instinct, I think, in that final lap, because only instinct can really pull off a move like that, Jack. And it might be the most important move of the season for him, because it now throws him into the championship conversation. I mean, honestly, with 3 rounds now to go after this one, where can we see this going? Because, of course, Burraman's now lost the lead. Otmir's got it now. Is this how it's going to be now right to the end? Have these viewers now got to stay plugged into PSGL to really find out what's going on? Because you surely can't afford to miss a race at this point.
No, you can't, because all the Longue's come from nowhere all of a sudden and is now a championship contender, and is only 14 points off the lead, and that's less than 1 race win. 1 bad race for our championship contenders, and a win for Longue puts him in the championship lead. That's how close it is. Still have a long way to go, though, when we talk about PSGL. 3 rounds is still a lot can happen in 3 rounds, so we'll stay tuned for that. But Mexico is where we're going next week, and we'll see if the Championship League changes hands once more, or will it close up even more? Who knows? But again, you have to subscribe and you have to keep your eye on the PSGL socials as well, because of course all these results are provisional.
They're all provisional.
So the stewards
all provisional. Yeah, the stewards are going to be working hard tonight, as they always do. Kryptonite is going to be put to the test yet again. But guys, we want to hear from you as well. I want to hear from you guys at home. Who do you think is going to be champion of PSGL this time around? Let us know in the live chat. You know I like to utilise you guys and obviously get you involved in the show, because you are very much part of this as much as we are. So we'd like to hear from you. We've got Jarno, says Preben. We've got a few others there. A few other names floating around. More for Jarno. Richie saying Jarno, PSGL for champion. Thank you, Sakib. I appreciate that, my friend. Gatifi getting it. Danny Berejnay says Leventa. I'd love to see Danny in the conversation for a championship. Jarno Send It says Sud. We got Jarno again. Louis Schmitz, Jarno no question, says Longue as well from Harmon. And I think after recent form, you could argue that Longue has a great chance if he can carry this momentum through. I'd up to Alfie Butcher, who's going to decide the championship. Could yet be very much a crux in the championship fight. Jarno or Nicholas. That's another one we've got there. Jarno baby says Tazio, is it? I apologise if I get that wrong. Kyle also says Jarno. But yeah, guys, it is surely up to anybody. It's going to be a big battle right to the end, and I really do appreciate you guys being along for the ride. It has been, once again, a very, very busy race, a special race, and also we're celebrating because, of course, we have managed to hit no less than an incredible 40,000 subscribers. So I want to say, first of all, a big thank you to each and every single one of you. Thank you for the 40k. Thank you to our sponsors, GT Omega. Also, thank you to Virage as well. What an absolutely sensational landmark, and you guys are responsible for that as much as we are, and we really appreciate it. You guys make Wednesday nights thrilling each and every single night from 7 p.m. Make sure you stay tuning in, not only to this tier, but also to the others that are pretty much broadcasting right through the week. PSGL never sleeps. Plenty more to come, to say the least. And obviously, if you're keen to check out more from PSGL, you remember you can hit that red button, and I'll say it again, it's not the sky red button. You can indeed hit the subscribe button here on YouTube to stay up to date with whenever we go live here on the PSGL channel. Be sure to leave a like as well, because that really helps us out. And also, why don't you head across to social media, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at PremierSimGL. That is, of course, the tag for PSGL, of course, the league, and you can get up to date with everything that's going on as well in terms of the stewards' decisions, the championship leaders. It's all going to be unveiled to you guys on social media, so stay tuned in and you'll know the score. If you want to check me out as well, my name is George Morgan. I've been your commentator tonight alongside Jack Canan. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, as well as threads everywhere at George Morgan TV. It's always the same, George Morgan TV, never changes. Jack, do you want to share your social too, my friend?
Sorry, that got me. George is everywhere. He is everywhere. But we've got my socials right underneath on these beautiful graphics at JackCComs on Twitter/X and Jack_Canan on Instagram if you want to be follow over there. Of course, Mexico is next week. It could be a big one in the championship as well. But it's also my last round this season. I can hear you all crying at home, but I'm going to be missing this championship.
Can we get some goodbye Jacks in the live chat? I mean, I'm not gone
yet.
He's not gone forever, but he's going after this next race just to the end of the season. So he'll be back next season after he finishes. Someone's saying no, Jake. No, Jake. No. Bye, Jack, for now. Yes, he will be back, folks. He's not going for good. Yeah, he's going to be here for the last race next week, so do not miss it. We're going to Mexico. We're going to the to that circuit. Obviously, very technical, very fast-paced, lots of drama, and I'm expecting drama at that one as well, Jack. So another chapter that we are going to be witnessing, that's for sure. But guys, it's been a privilege. Thank you all so much. Your superstars, each and every single one of you. Today, the superstar was Nicolas Longue, second win of the season, enters himself into the championship mixer. But we all know they've all got to try and catch the Flying Dutchman. Jarno Wotmir now takes the lead. The question is, will he hold it when we make our way to Mexico? Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
He's got the inside. Wotmir is through on the left-hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Wotmir now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Wotmir wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.
cup though.